Welcome back to the PPL, everybody. We've swapped spots, so that means myself, Dolson, on the desk here for you for our second set of this Friday, second and final. It should be a good one. Joining me to talk about it is Gore Miser, casting with me in set number one. Gore, this is traditionally a Na'Vi-sided matchup. 4-1, first time they met in Split 1. 4-3, to be fair, the second time they met in Split 1. This will be the first time they're playing in Split 2. Lots of questions surrounding both teams.
And also important to note that SSG had boot camped against Na'Vi specifically to just try and kind of get themselves up to speed, keep themselves
As
in
you
it
should.
for
Right.
for the first phase. So there's information there that maybe was helpful in phase 1 that just won't mean as much now.
Right.
But they also have maybe a little bit more footage. Since this is the first time they're meeting for this phase, it means Na'Vi have been able to watch them this entire time, and they could potentially break apart these sets, break apart the champions that they've maybe picked on, the players themselves, and, well, pick apart SSG in the process.
And looking at Na'Vi, the first team we'll talk about in this matchup, I mentioned kind of there being questions around both teams, but in reality it's just, can Na'Vi continue to play like the number one seed that they are, and is there still room to improve? We interviewed Phoenix after their 4-0 win over the Knights yesterday, and I kind of, the conversation has been around Ninu. How long is it going to take for that chemistry to fill in? Everything surrounding that. And I said, well, you guys look great yesterday or today in your 4-0 win. Is there still room for you to improve? And he said yes, so that's my question. Is there still actually room for Na'Vi to get better? Apparently, yes.
And I do think it comes down to what he was highlighting, where it's just consistency as a team, where it comes down. I mean, one of the things they had going into, well, pretty much every single LAN last year that most teams were lacking was just confidence in each other. They never had to second-guess anyone's decision. They knew if once the information was relayed, once the comms were up to date, everyone would make the right decision. Mutu, I'm going to just have to throw him out as kind of a rough, rocky, I don't want him to say fully inconsistent, but maybe 85-15. Like 85% of the time he's going to show up for the day. 15% of the time you had no idea whether or not you were going to get that performance, though.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been the issue, is dealing with that kind of iffiness in comparison to, and also bringing in with a new player. You need someone to be kind of a rock. I think the whole team with Ninu kind of been revitalized since then, maybe kind of reinvigorated in the game itself. And so everyone's been looking much better since that change, and I feel like their best days are still ahead of them for this current iteration of the team, even though this is a team that has won in the past.
And that's a scary thought if you're the other 7 teams in this league. I mean, granted, Virtus Pro was absolutely and still should be in that. Are they playing like the best team? Their seeding isn't there, but are they playing like the best team in the league? Well, they're gone now for a few weeks till they come back in towards the end of this split. In the meantime, it's Na'Vi who's kind of drawing our headlines. This is a big test today. I mean, the consistency of this team kind of against are you going to get the great SSG versus the kind of off SSG that's what I think about. I mean, because if SSG is firing on all cylinders, if they're playing like they did in Game 7 yesterday, this one could be a lot closer than people are maybe expecting.
And that's the thing. The inconsistencies of SSG throughout, well, all of yesterday, whether you want to take it as the games against Envy, the games against Kanga, there was a lot of inconsistencies from game to game. They are brilliant at adapting mid-round. They're brilliant at adapting mid-game when they need to, mid-set even, if it does benefit them. And we see they come out with 2 wins yesterday, but there's some shakiness that comes with it. There's always like a little caveat that comes with it. And a lot of that does kind of center around the DPS players. The one that has been their consistent formula, it's almost always been Mitao. And I remember a time you roll way back where we looked at SSG, and bullying Mitao was one of the ways to win against this team, was to just zone him out, cause this support to disappear from the game. But the rest of the team has made it a lot more difficult to do so. Also, still bringing out the Moldamba and still making it look fresh.
Yeah.
They were more or less avoiding damage amp yesterday.
Yeah, and that's been an interesting thread to follow as well. I mean, you look back to SSG, MSI, Space Station Gaming, going into that week. They were stacking Tyra, Genos, maybe some Furia as often as they could. Get a little Genos here from Mitao. Kind of a journeyman of the healer position, kind of to echo what you were saying, in my opinion. I think regardless of where you put him, he's going to be happy about it. He's going to be able to do what he needs to do to kind of supplement the rest of his team, whether it's a little more aggressive, whether it's a little more defensive. kind of a stalwart in a conversation about inconsistency that's never really surrounded Midtown, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's and always fallen down onto Aries as to whether or not he's going to show up, be the DPS player they need, be the rock monkey, or is he going to end up being maybe part of the reason if SSG lose a game that they do. And so that's where it comes through. I think every other player in this game has kind of proven themselves to be very consistent, at least for this set. All 5 members of Na'Vi are going to show up today. It's just in what capacity? Are they going to be crazy carry capacity like we saw at Ninu yesterday, or are we going to see him just do okay today, right? Is it 9-1 rounds, or is it a 9-5 round where no matter what, he's still doing positive? SSG are going to have maybe a little bit more to potentially kind of open up the door. We saw Aries have some really, really great games, especially towards the end of the Kanga set, and redeem himself on champions that had prior in that day not done well. But is he going to show up? Is he going to be the 2 maps they lost to Envy, or is he going to be the game-winning Shaolin that we saw against Kanga?
Yeah, that's a lot of the question mark, and unfortunately we don't have. There's no answer to be said for that until we dive down into game. Na'Vi are in fact here. They all 5 did show up. They're sitting in the booth getting ready for the games.
Their plane tickets worked.
So they are moving through with playing here today against SSG. But Ninu, a big performance yesterday. Look at Ascension Peak. Kind of blew us all out of the water with that Eevee game. And it's less so much inconsistency with him and more, and again, this is kind of echo what you were saying. He'll be here. He'll be doing consistently well. But if he plays the same way he did on Ascension Peak, half as well as he did on Ascension Peak throughout this set today, you might be looking down the barrel of another 4-0.
I mean, a really good way to kind of look at it as well is how much that blaster matchup is going to impact this. I guess kind of your off DPS is the other way to word it. Whoever it is, here it's Ninu on the other side, Freeze God being able to come through. Mike peeking out.
We're not looking at you, Mike. We're looking at Ninu and Phoenix.
Yeah. You know what, Mike? I hope they don't play Furia. That's right. I said it.
No chance they don't play Furia.
No, yeah. Someone's gonna pick it at some point. But I anticipate Drogo's, depending on the map, Drogo's, Eevee, Maeve, going to be very, very highly contended between these 2 teams. Ninu's kind of changed the impact. Like Creatives was very, very good, but you would have Mutu go Drogo's, Creatives go Bomb King, Creatives go Eevee. Like they kind of trade off depending on the champion. Now you have one dedicated player for that. And it maybe makes it a little easier to kind of counter him, figure out what he's going to go, what's maybe stronger on map X versus map Y. But it also is going to give Freeze God like a consistent target, someone he knows he can go after and maybe chase down. And I'm excited to see it. I think this is going to be one of those matches. I mean, everyone always, like, you'll hear Fish Echo versus Freeze for, like, Eevee. Yeah. We got to watch Freeze versus Simsy. I think Ninu's very much in that conversation of really awesome blasters. You throw Evil Eye in there. We're blessed with really good blasters in the league.
Well, we already got 1 7-game set to start off the day. This one could be pretty contested as well. Shadow Desert Frog Isle, the 2nd set of bans out here. No Frog Isle for us in this one, unfortunately. I want to have a conversation around Fernando as we see the first map pick for the day, Jaguar Falls. Obviously, this is kind of something that Na'Vi, or this being Fernando, is something that Na'Vi have kind of begun to play around, whether it's Lazy or Phoenix. Yesterday was more the former. Is this something maybe you start to see being contested in these sets against Na'Vi? Do you think that's something that maybe SSG start to identify and pick for themselves?
I would be surprised. Only because I feel like Na'Vi have it at a different level. Both Lazy and Phoenix have shown themselves like being able to play it. Same loadout. The same pretty much play style out of it. And he fits very perfectly with them. But I think it's kind of the essence of how the player themselves are kind of personifying the Fernando in the game, but also the support behind them, enabling that to be able to come true and work out. And I know Rich Chow is more than capable to pull out a Fernando and I think make it work. I just don't see too many worlds where he opts for not Inara or Barrack first.
Sure.
If you ban out Inara Barrack, that's when it becomes, I think, one of the most contended picks that you could have just in general. Right. But even then, we started to see, Terminus come out even before him.
And, I agree with you. I think if Inara and Barrack are on the table, that's comfort. Why pivot too far outside of that one? Khan Makoa Atlas banned out here. It's kind of been the conversation of trading out Ashe or Khan. One team gets one team gets the other. Now Ashe is the only one who's really in that conversation. So who maybe jumps at her early? It's something to keep your eye on here. Barrick hovered for Na'Vi. Genos as well. That's a potent combination for Natus Vincere when you're able to get some of that damage amp on Lazy. Do not be surprised to see him towards the top of those damage charts.
Also notable, I mean, this is only a point I could ever make with Na'Vi. And it's a shame that Fawn's not on the desk, but they do like pulling out Moji on this map.
That's true.
And
good point.
She is something that if you're not prepared to play against, it's kind of a different style to deal with. It's a little bit more burst than you might be used to. Mutu does not shy away from that. I don't know whether or not he maybe has an affinity for Moji, or if they genuinely do lean towards that just as a valuable pick on here. I think we've also seen Mutu in the past. It might have been creatives, but one of the members of Na'Vi in the past has played Dredge on this map.
Yep.
Has made it look good. There's very, very few drafts right now, I think, where you're going to open up and be like, Dredge would be good here.
Yeah.
But you can't deny his area deniability that comes through with him. And this is one of those maps that you can maybe flex for him on. Typically, I'd say maybe Serpent Beach. Most of the time, Ice Mines is where he's going to shine brightest. But there's some off picks I wouldn't mind seeing Na'Vi maybe reach into the pockets for.
Well, Barrick has started to come into the fold here as well. Not only Jaguar Falls, just meta-wise in general. Simsalou notably in our last set, closing out with a couple of Bomb King games. SSG locking in the Ying. They are going to pick themselves up the Ashe. So now the point tank conversation becomes a little bit different with Khan off the table. So Na'Vi with Genos granted. Now we're trying to consider. They're going to have to show their last two picks. Could be Emoji. Could set themselves up for triple DPS as well.
I really like how SSG drafted this, though, because it will force Navi's hand to maybe go for the Fernando, although it does much look like a potential triple
Fernando.
DPS.
Of course.
Kind of lineup, depending on what they want to do with that.
I forget that Fernando's a thing, despite having just mentioned that Fernando's a thing.
And so, you know, it's a lot that they could potentially lean into. But SSG left it open. That Maeve is very ambiguous. They could go Leon here if it fits them, or they could go for something more specific to Freeze God, like a Drogoz, if they feel like it would maybe benefit from him being up in the skies.
At some point, though, I mean, you brought up a good point. In that,
also,
you know,
I want to desk fist bump real fast, actually, because we got the Moji Fernando.
That's
there
right. That's right. But I do have to ask. I mean, you mentioned if Moji catches you off guard, you know, it kind of throws a wrench. I feel like if you're going against Na'Vi on Jaguar Falls, that at least has to be something you're prepared to identify, right?
At this point, you should maybe not expect it. That might not be the right word, but it might be one of those things that you come to terms with. This is probable. We might see this, so we need to be prepared for it.
Agreed.
Is maybe the approach for it. Just like SSG, I keep forgetting that Vivian has been a pick for them on this map, but it is something that they've been coming to pretty consistently after these last 2 days, so it's not too surprising to see her.
And this is one of those Vivian games that Ares had yesterday that was huge. Won them, Jaguar Falls, yesterday. Game one about to kick off. Two teams going toe-to-toe on Jaguar Falls. Fun. You got your Moji, bud.
Yes, I did. I am very, very happy. Of course, we normally see Mutu ends up getting stuck on this character, but it normally ends up doing really well. I mean, they only really end up bringing it out on Jaguar Falls. So, I mean, of course, Jaguar has some of the most flexibility in the game in terms of maps.
I mean, just it being so flat makes it a lot easier for these characters to be played. That's how I feel when I see Moji locked in when it's on my team, and that's when it's on the other team. It's actually a perfect contrast of emotions between the two of them. I mean, it's Jaguar Falls. We know Moji's going to work, but it's going into a Vivian on the other side from SSG, and I think that pick could have some potential to deal with it pretty effectively, depending on how well Mutu juggles his magic barrier cooldown. He might not be able to get away with as much into the Vivian as he does into other DPSs.
Right, exactly. Of course, Moji opting to go with Toot in this case. It gives the health to the teammates, of course,
and himself,
and Moji to be able to, of course, keep everybody alive if they are in a general area. Of course, on Jag, that's going to mean a lot. Everyone else is pretty much taking standard picks in this case. And of course, we're already getting things started with Moji going up by statue over on the right flank with Phoenix.
Heavy sustain on SSG too with Yunara Ashe. Let's see how aggressive Mutu does to be. Tries to bunny hop in actually, but doesn't really find the opening. SSG kite back. This is a team. These are two teams that have practiced against each other quite a bit. There was at some point in phase one, there was a week where they basically only played each other. So these teams know each other very, very well. This new meta, Ares getting dangerously low, but has his team with him. Point control currently going towards Na'Vi, but no picks either way just yet. Never mind, Sadak goes down to Ninu.
Yeah, Ninu finds the opener and that kill, and now Moji is out looking for blood. She puts up the magical barrier to prevent himself from taking any sort of damage. Wall goes up to keep himself alive. But you see that Ying is extremely low mid-tower. Both Lazy and Phoenix, though, they're looking low too, so they definitely have to respect coming around that corner. Mutu rotating between both rooms right here, of course, and keeping a lookout for anyone that might try and be on the flank.
Some OG support there. Drops the 2 cloud for Lazy on the, for Phoenix, excuse me, on the Fernando. Rashad goes in for the point touch at the last second, and actually he's very caught out, but no one's watching mid. Ninu gets a flank. Perfect dodge, though, might mean that Ninu's the only pick here.
Yeah, but they're all looking really low. The Void Grip to come out as well as to be able to use that magical spit to be able to pop off that mark and do as much damage as Moji is possibly doing in the backline. Has to use Illusory Rip to keep him alive. Bunny hops her way out of there, but still gets caught by Ares.
I love that we were watching that POV there, because that's that tech I was talking about. If you jump right at the end of your scamper and you jump perfectly when you hit the ground, similar to some old Source Engine games, you can carry your momentum forward. Old bunny hopping, it's kind of the only character you can do that with, but it's a really fun tech, and it's kind of part of what lets Moji be viable on this map. Carrying your speed forward, your rotations are so strong. Your time and space doesn't really connect on anybody. Sadak kind of left alone, gets picked off by Ninu on the retreat. This pretty aggressive defense currently from SSG. It looks like Na'Vi might have finally broken.
Of course, Mutu already moving in to make sure he can burn that Anara, hitting May for 1,150. That's how much she's going to be able to eat in that case. That Luminary buff giving her a little bit more damage. Normally it would just do 1,000, but in this case, Luminary buff giving her a little bit extra with 150. Being able to move in. They've got the Dome Shield. They've got snack time. They've got their immortal whenever it is that Fernando actually ends up getting his ultimate. But 3 ults in return on SSG's side. Really can still be any person's game. Both teams respecting each other a lot. No one's pushing in overly aggressive, and they're really just trying to hold these stairs.
The fact that Phoenix just got Immortal should tell you a little bit about Nando's ult charge and why he kind of didn't fall out for a little bit.
Ooh.
Seismic Crash confirms the kill onto Phoenix. Traded kills both ways, but just a duel here on the side between Breeze and Ninu.
Yeah, Barzy trying to do what he can to get a kill on Ninu, but it's not going to be enough. Magical Barrier to eat that damage. Actually, Spunky comes in to help out Mutsu. He was already looking pretty low, gives him the buff as well as the burst that he needs to be able to finish off Ares. Ninu ends up also getting a triple kill in that case. You already see him at the top of the damage charts. Him on this Cassie. He's just waiting, standing by on these sides, of course, helping out Mutsu if necessary, but also playing backline to make sure no one can dive Spunk.
I mean, Ninu, people are going to have to run away from Ninu, and if you can force them into the right angles, it can make things a lot easier for Ninu. Right now, Dome Shield sounded like it was used. It was by Lazy. Looks like it was over there behind the cart just a little bit. No, actually, it was in their spawn, making a lot of room. But Vivian's right there.
Nice!
That
was sick!
Just like a dog catching a tree out of the air.
That was a sick catch, fetch boy! Up in the sky, Moji. Nice snack time. Ultimate in the air. A triple kill too. Oh, this is the best. This is by far the best. Okay, 2-0 already on Jaguar Falls. Natus Vincere making Moji look absolutely powerful on this map.
And she is. They don't need to make her look like it. That's really how she is. Mutu on this Moji has been an absolute force. It really is hard to punish. If he's using Magic Barrier right, getting around those corners, if you accidentally shoot the Moji, you're making yourself take 1,000 more damage.
Yeah.
It's so tough to have that trigger discipline. To 8, 1, and 7. So most of those kills came from that final little bit of cleanup, but that's still huge. That's a lot of credits for the Moji here.
Yeah. I mean, we already see, like in this case, that Spunky, 1, 3, and 12. Of course, Mutu finally able to get this record 2 online. Haven is there as well. I mean, Mittel has the morale boost too. Of course, he needs to be able to have that Illusory Rift. Everyone on SSG has cauterized, at least at level 2, except for Ares, who opted to go for the record so he can break through that Phoenix shield and that shield on Lazy. But for Chow, already eating a lot of damage, has to wall up some off Phoenix. Already, not Phoenix, but the Ashe already in the side. Usually assert dominance, but Magical Barrier prevents himself from being stunned, keeps her CC immune just for that brief amount of time. Nares finds the kill onto Mutu. Now he's gonna try and they're gonna try and focus or at least swap targets in this case. Sadak shoulder bashing his way all the way into the back. Try and get a kill on Ninu, doesn't find it, but he does find some damage.
I thought Rochelle was rushing a little bit on point, but with the cleanup by SSG, it seemed all right. FRZ maybe going a little bit too deep on the backside. Doesn't want to use the Midnight because Scout is still available to counter. Seismic Crash coming in the middle. Only stuns the Immortal. That comes out. Moji's in now to clean up on Rochelle.
Yeah, already he put up a wall, but he put it up in the wrong spot. In that case, ends up walling himself off. You're actually stuck in there with Moji in this case. Phoenix finds the kill onto Rochelle. He's able to finish that off. Moji doing most of the damage, tries to preemptively snack time around the corner. Doesn't quite get Maeve. Heard her over there. Didn't quite know exactly where she was, so that's why he ended up missing. But Midnight to try and allow SSG some space to move in. But not when Sadat gets killed like that, and FRZ.
And I mean, Scout was used immediately, so really no chance there. Mutu coming in for the perfect flank again. With off tank down, no one's even really able to watch that angle. Kiting a little bit back and forth on the point are SSG, but all gonna fall down inevitably, and now Mutu carries his momentum into the enemy base through time and space. Gnome Shield still available for Natus Vincere. This is a rough look for SSG. I think they're trying to make things go a little bit too quickly. I think they have to let this Moji come into them.
Yeah.
And then find the pick through a wall, through a CC of some kind, before they try to make a move, because I feel like they're opening themselves up really too much to put this flank pressure.
The Sentinels end up coming out Ares. Want to be able to hold this corner for sure. Stairway giving this up towards a lot of space in this case, but they're already focusing down on the Sadak. He has to shoulder bash his way out of there to make sure that the rest of Na'Vi just don't end up collapsing on him. He was eating a lot of damage. Dome Shield actually goes out immediately onto the Nara. Rachao looking pretty low. He does get picked off by Ninu, followed by a through time and space from Spunky. Ends up getting the kill onto FRZ, but thankfully Ares is already in the back line. He's free-firing in this case. He has a double kill of his own, but he's looking pretty low. Lazy Mutu, the rest of them in the back. You see Moji flying off screen. A double kill immediately onto both Mid-Tow. Ares in a triple for Sadak. Make it 3. Moji is looking to eat.
I'm glad you said a triple for Sadak, because that's really what it was.
Yeah.
Because Sadak threw Mutu into his own backline and allowed Mutu to kill everybody. That's really rough for them, the spawners too, because now they have no assert dominance to buy any more time. Lazy using the reset on Bowling Ball just to get out. Great peel by Lazy. Kind of baited Sadak in through this big game. He's not going to live. That Illusory Rift falls kind of flat. Na'Vi can take their time on this last push.
Yeah, they have to be able to use Illusory Rift, at least defensively, to keep themselves alive. And in this game, already 3-0, but snack time immediately. Earthen Guard already went down. Takes a bite out of that. Their frontliner is gone, though. They're already pushing in. They don't have any ultimates, but at the same time, the aggression they're able to provide might be enough to be able to close this out. FRZ. But yeah, you're right.
Have it, and they use it, but Lazy's just a little bit too far playing
away.
away.
My goodness.
Forcing FRZ out. There's no way he can recommit. Na'Vi take a pretty Na'Vi-looking draft straight to a 4-0 victory.
Jaguar Falls. I mean, they end up drafting it most of the time. Most of the time during their first games, they always opt to go for this map because of this type of performance. It's already 1-0. The game was extremely quick, and Na'Vi knows what they're doing on this map, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they looked completely, I don't know. I would say that was just business for them. They show up, they sit down, file their paperwork, leave. That really is just clinical.
9 to 5.
Yeah, from Na'Vi.
Yeah.
Some teams scrim that long.
I mean, yeah, no, you're correct. You're correct. You're entirely right on that one. But game 1, Jaguar Falls. I got my Moji. Natus Vincere, they got a win right after this break. We'll be right into game 2.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Wouldn't you guess it, they play Jaguar Falls. They go up 4-0. That means they win the game. And this time, it's because of the Moji, not despite the Moji. Would you agree, Gore?
Absolutely. Mewtwo was, able to bring it this time and able to make it work very well. And again, a lot of these teams, I think at this point in the split, granted there's not too many more weeks to do so, you got to prepare for Emoji. It's not something I'm used to saying. And I don't know exactly how to recommend it. I guess invite Fawn to your scrims to maybe try and burn through it. But 14 streak there for Mewtwo, a 25 streak for Ninu.
Yeah, I mean, all else considered, 88,000 damage, 10, 1, and 16. 25 streak, so he got either a kill or an assist and died, and then didn't die for the rest of the game. So hats off to Ninu for that one, but at 14, 4, and 13, something has to be said about that Moji. And it's all like kind of bursty at once. I feel like we rarely saw a single Moji kill. It was like Mewtwo would get a kill, and then a double, and then a triple, and then sometimes a quad. It's just a very bursty, seemingly champion.
And the thing is I think, that one hits freeze, but those moments, that's where it makes the big difference. I don't think the tanks understand what to do with this amount of burst. And Nara, tanky as she is, very consistent damage with 1,000-shot bursts in them. It's more consistent than a Shaolin, which is really weird to think of in terms of damage. So to this angle and played the way he did, Mewtwo was playing in a way I think that SSG just don't know how to cope with. They don't know what to do against it. And with Toot, with the magic barrier, everything about Moji gets you in, lets you do damage, lets you get out alive, maybe even staying in the fight longer than you should. So Mewtwo kind of bringing it to him there, and that's where it does come in. You have to figure out a good way to scrim against or to play against or figure out how to beat Emoji. Because otherwise, if she's only working here for Na'Vi, there's got to be a reason she's not being picked everywhere else for them. So there's something to pick apart there.
Well, I was going to ask.
Maybe you adopt it.
What do you think it is about Jaguar Falls? Is it just the close quarter space of the map that maybe lends itself?
I think so. It's very aggressive, and this is going to sound really weird, but it's really easy to get hit by a stray shot as Moji on this map because of how wide her hitbox is. And if you magic barrier hit that's 1,000 damage burst. That's going to be very easy for you. I like to think of her on this map, and this is a very weird way, but play style similar to Ruckus. You're going to be just as aggressive, maybe even more aggressive than you would be as a Ruckus. But you're more survivable, which is weird to think about.
Well, Bright Marsh caters to a lot of similar play styles as Jaguar Falls. I don't know if Moji's in the same wheelhouse. I guess technically could thrive in the same regard, but not something we've seen Na'Vi try to do. Strix first ban for Na'Vi. Willow first ban for SSG. The conversation surrounding blasters is definitely one to have here on Bright Marsh. Whether it's the Bomb King that we've seen a little bit, Maeve and Eevee certainly are in that conversation, Drogos from time to time, and this game is filled with players who can flex on any of them.
Being able to come through. Pretty much, those are, in my mind, those are the new 4 standards for bans. I think Strix maybe can be interlaced with some other champions, but those 4 down at the bottom of your screen are the ones that are going to be the most obvious. We've seen Makoa and Atlas come through and not win games, but it's just that ever-present threat. The fact that they can bring that maybe shift back into your favor as a team, that kind of keeps them locked away down there.
Sometimes together. You'll see them pick together. Actually, probably lose more times when they're on the same team than they do any other time.
It's a dangerous game to play.
It is. It's too much power. Too much power to hold in one front line. Unfortunately, both teams are not going to get their hands on either of them. Khan not banned out this time. Going to get his first look in our second set of today. Khan first pick for SSG. Na'Vi right back to the Cassie. Grabbed themselves some Barrack as well. It was Ninu in the last game who played Cassie. 25 streak to round out that game. Great performance from him. Probably could have highlighted him just as well. But the conversation definitely surrounds that. Whatever maybe the second DPS pick is for Na'Vi. Could be Mewtwo on the Cassie. Could certainly be Ninu as well.
Beautiful, beautiful flexibility. That's one of the best things I think that you always have with some of these picks coming through. Like, you almost always know who's going to be going on to what this early on. Maybe you can kind of plan some of those counters later. SSG going the opposite way and just saying, hey, look, Freeze God's playing Eevee. What about it? What are you going to do? And that's actually one of the things. This map, we've seen Eevee be successful on, but I don't know if she's my go-to blaster here. I feel like what we saw, I mean, specifically at a Bomb King earlier on this map. But also what we've seen out of Bomb King from both of these teams in the past would be very big. Na'Vi, it would kind of be a convince Ninu to play it if that's not already the plan to do so. But SSG, we saw Freeze God playing Bomb King on Ice Mines yesterday. We know he can do it, and we know he can do it really well. I'd love to see maybe something like that come through.
Sure.
At this point, I guess for Na'Vi, since it's one of the last things that would fit.
Yeah, not going to be for
SSG.
Not going to be for SSG this game, unless they want to do double blaster, which may be ill-advised.
I do not recommend.
Yeah, I would pass
personally
on that one. Looks like Ares is going to be piloting the Leon. Eevee for Freeze God. Mitao grabbing himself the Damba. We highlighted that pregame, one of the healers that, you know, kind of back and forth in this meta, but definitely one that Mitao feels like he can do well on. Might pivot to the Vivian, and they do, so they give Ares a second chance at finding some good kills. Ares actually, all things considered, despite Jaguar Falls being a 0-4 loss, actually had some good moments on the Vivian in that game, and they feel comfortable giving it to him again.
I think it comes down to a very specific style of play, probably something they're kind of hung up on, it feels like, more than anything. I think Leon fits better here. It's a better counter in the event that they decide to go Drogos on Na'Vi, because that would fit perfectly into their lineup as well. It's just interesting to see them maybe focus more on this Vivian than they do on some of the other hit scan champions that are in the game that kind of do her job better. Vivian, in my mind, is great for SSG if someone picks a pocket Torvald strat. If someone comes through with a Torvald, then that is the time to lock her in. But they keep going to her, and again, we've seen one really stellar performance, one or two now, I guess, maybe not so stellar, one maybe in the middle. You could swing that, so kind of one of each spectrum.
Right.
But I don't agree with it that much here. It just doesn't feel right.
I mean, it has the potential is kind of the buzzword. I mean, the potential is there. Look back at Split 1 with Na'Vi. Alex was it a 28 kill performance on Vivian. So I mean, the ability is there, but on paper, maybe not quite as great into what Na'Vi have. Na'Vi looking to make it 2 on Brightmarsh.
Yes, indeed they are. Dave, I'm ready to see some good old Drogos play. I always like seeing them on this map. And SSG, once again, opting to draft this Vivian. They've done this several times yesterday, too, whether we agreed with the Vivian pick or not. A lot of the times they've ended up drafting this character, and they really want to be able to just stick Ares on this and keep him in the backline.
And I don't think this is the worst necessarily place.
No, right, yeah. I didn't mean to make it seem like that.
Yeah. They've definitely been picking it on maps where you want Vivian more than others, for sure.
Right.
But against the draft, Ash Cassie can get pretty aggressive onto the Vivian. It's really going to be on the Naricon, Shao, and Sadak for SSG to really keep them off of Ares. The longer that they get stalled out in front of Ares' line of sight, the better things are going to look for them. Strogos is going to make things very difficult, though. Ninu, Swarmjet's currently above the map. It's gonna be so hard for them to really deal with him. Vivian and Khan, they're just gonna chip him away. He's gonna be able to get away from almost every single engagement. It's gonna feel like Drogos almost counters Eevee on this one.
Well, it's already like in situations like these where he's just laying bullets into Lazy at this point, being able to force him off of it, at least force him back into the rest of his team, though he can recuperate. But Ninu already flying overhead, knows that FRZ's back here, puts out the fire spit. Doesn't quite shoot it yet. Wanted the blink to actually happen so that way he can stall out just a little bit. So want to overly commit too much. We're pretty much playing, you know, where one team starts on the point and the other one doesn't. But Ninu finds the first opening kill. Mutu following up soon after that. Sadak and FRZ already out the picture.
Again, you see what I was saying before. Ninu commits a little bit onto Ares, and it's like, oh yes, it seems as if this fight is not going my way. I shall take my leave. And he just walks away even under constant fire from the Vivian. Ares does find the kill there in the end, but 75% and climbing on the point for Na'Vi is going to make things really difficult for SSG to retake.
Nice shoulder bash coming out from Ash in this case, able to knock that con back just a little bit. They do end up capturing the point on Brightmarsh, and of course, right now Rachao just getting laid into some of these crossbow bolts, and just focus fire from all of Natus Vincere, really. Pretty much all playing together, grouping up despite not having a grower, but they're pretty much sticking to their guns in this case. They don't really have a blaster, but so I mean I guess they are just opting to go for this more defensive strategy in this case.
Well, they have the Eevee able to pressure a little bit.
Wow,
here.
nice
comes
shots.
In. Perfect angle from Ninu to catch her shout.
Wow.
Ares gets void gripped and Vivian doesn't have a way out, so that's 2 picks for Na'Vi.
Fire spit already hitting 2 targets. FRZ and Sadak, they're gonna go down. Maldamba, Mitao is really the only one left. Gets the snake bite. He's gonna go in there to try and stall just for a little bit. But of course, We have the Dragon Punch. Oh, yeah, and I'm glad we brought the slash lines too, because look at all the damage here. Literally the only person that's not at top damage, or at least on the top of the damage, controlling it like the rest of SSG is their support. Is Spunky in this case.
Spunky's above Eevee and Anar.
Right, exactly. Well, no, I mean like there's like red all the way like to the top. Like they're literally top 4 are Natus Vincere. Literally Spunky's short like all the way at the bottom, but he's a support. He's not going to be doing all of that damage. In this case though, you see FRZ blinking in, blinking up above, firing down below at the Ashe, and then of course blinking right back out.
Great pressure by FRZ right now, connecting a lot of these mid-range shots. Forces out the Void Grip too, which is going to allow a little bit more aggression. Good positioning by Faye, walking straight into the back here.
Wow.
Just at the battering ram, and actually now FRZ's in a really rough position. The recommit on the side from Pit from Mutu. Gets the kill there, but Stock finding 2 on the other side is going to force Na'Vi to disengage just a little bit.
Since they were able to take out two of their teammates, of course, like it was that you just end up mentioning Krezek, because they're going to have to be able to back off, pretty much concede this space just for a little bit until they can regroup, reconsider how they might need to approach it this next push around. Of course, Spunky watching right at this window, being able to pretty much give everybody this damage buff, firing where he needs to as well. Wall comes up, doesn't block anybody out though, and Ninu, of course, firing down at the Anar on the left flank. There's a little bit of a fight going on right there, but Ares just happens to step right back into it. He was out of it just a little bit. He walks back over as he was aiming down sights, and he goes down. Ninu feels for Spunky. They get that kill, and now the fight has shifted towards Natus Vincere.
I love that combo. Normally assert dominance and third time in space, you're killing the people that are stunned. They just did it off of the distraction. Ares just looking up at the Ashe going, ooh, and then got hit in the back with the third time in space. Dreadserpent coming in to try to knock him off the point, but retouch in the last second. FRZ buying a little bit of time, but first pick onto Lazy might make this a hold for SSG.
Yeah, they were able to actually manage to just respawn in time to be able to use that Dread Serpent. Lazy does go down, so does Phoenix at this point. Getting rid of him, they just burned him immediately as he came right back onto the point. They were able to take care of him pretty efficiently, and so because of that, now we're looking at a situation where SSG, they really got to step it up and find their opening. They've got to find their mojo to be able to do so.
Some ultimates should be online for them moving forward here. They definitely need to... They're dealing with the Drogos, I think, pretty well, but I think Ninu understands how much pressure that he's taking, and it's making things a lot easier for Na'Vi. Because Ninu's just going, they're all looking at me. They're all looking at me.
Yeah.
and the rest of Na'Vi is just able to move in off of that space, being made purely by the existence of the Drogos. We'll have to see how it goes, and you can tell, I mean, look at the deaths. Lazy dying because he's getting focused a bit in some of these fights, but Ninu up there, but Mutu and Spunky still undying. Phoenix only 1 death, and that was off of, I think, a suicide push that he did where he just dove through tree. Scout coming in very early here so that SSG can't do anything sneaky. Dragon Punch coming in too, no real way to run away from it, but Rochelle backs up into the apartments. The threat of that wall means Ninu has to back up. We're at a much slower fight than I think Na'Vi would have anticipated.
Yeah, Phoenix backing up because he can tell that people really starting to push up into him. Of course, communication has to be good for them to be able to know that. Just giving them a little bit more space. Overpower actually came through, but it gets refunded because they end up missing. He's trying to get Phoenix, but now he's just rushing him down at this point. They're trying to be able to flesh them out of these side rooms so they can actually have a better angle on Na'Vi as they're trying to push in. Rashad walls them off just a little bit. But already see Mutu already sort of filtering in, trying to damage as many people as he possibly can, so that way Ninu can either finish it off, or I guess in this case, Na'Vi are the ones that are going to end up getting finished off. Ares dies in the back line to at least try and get Mittal, but it's not going to be enough for him.
With the comp that SSG has, this is kind of the answer to how Na'Vi like to play. We know that Na'Vi like to play slow and find the answers to what the enemy's doing, right? SSG just played slower. They kind of baited Na'Vi in. They have the better points, saying so why not be the one setting the pace? And that kind of leads to SSG's first mid-fight win. After all of that, it was just all they had to do. Pull back, bait them in, pressure Phoenix out a little bit. When someone tries to come peel for him, they just get those picks.
Yeah, I mean, Dragon Punch up, through time and space as well, start dominance. Dome Show steadily building in. SSG has that transfer again. A nice rocket directly on the FRZ, followed by the Fire Spin to get the kill. He's got to maneuver his way the best that he can. Tries to get out of there, realizes his Dragon Punch was in a bad spot. Tried to retreat. Dreadserpent comes out to at least be able to peel for their backline. They do end up getting a kill onto Lazy. Sadaf gets crossbow bolted and immediately gets melted soon after that.
They lifted Phoenix with the wall while he was going for the dash, and it just turns Phoenix into a Sadak-seeking missile straight into him. Ares a little bit forward without an off-tank. With Sadak dead, he can't really be that forward, so now he goes down. Rochelle follows. Na'Vi are going to set up for an aggressive zone here. They want to bleed as much time as possible, but Overpower coming out of SSG. It's still going to be slow before they can actually engage in a fight, but they have an opportunity now. They have the spawner coming back in. Find my breakout pretty soon as FRZ's ready.
Commander grabs to close the dash between him and the distance between him and Ash in this case. Of course, Spunky over on the side. He's watching those rooms right there. In case they group up, he has a good time and space that he can hit right there. Shoulder bash should go in on Phoenix's side. He has to assert dominance. They've got a minute 5 left. And of course, both teams are really just waiting it out right now. I mean, FRZ, though, he's able to find that opening. He's able to get the kill onto Phoenix. And Spunky is soon to follow after that.
Yeah, Lazy goes down 2 now, and everyone on Navi is going to run into the cart no matter what, just to buy a little bit of time. Ninu doesn't need to. He's already in spawn. Anyone who's on the ground and can't get back up, though, they had to go in. They all did. SSG, though, cart in this final corner. Vivian using Sentinels to greatly increase her damage output. Navi have a couple ultimates, though. I wouldn't be surprised to see them use maybe just assert dominance or Dome Shield. Probably just one. SSG's going to strike first, though. Seismic Crash onto Lazy, catches him. That's Dome Shield completely out of the picture.
30 seconds left on the clock. The shoulder bash will come in, but follow that up with the wall. Follow that up, well, really with 2 walls. The Anara herself, and then the wall that she can bring up. There's no way you're going to be able to escape that unless you use the assert dominance through time and space. Doesn't find its mark, doesn't hit anyone. Dread Serpent did not only cancel the shoulder bash, but also to make sure they can focus fire on that Ashe. They do end up burning her down. Phoenix goes down. Dome Shield gets dropped. They get the kill on the Rachao, and now we're going to have to see that they're going to try and dodge roll their way onto the point. Mutu ends up falling. Ninu trying to get these rockets, but they won't be able to defend it.
This is how they have to play against Na'Vi. So good from SSG, making Na'Vi make the first move and then pouncing on them. We saw Phoenix dashing kind of from about where the curve of the card is into tree. FRC's just waiting. He gets low when he's trying to cross, pounces on him, finds that first pick, and it snowballs straight through. Na'Vi, you're so pressured. They use Assert Dominance, they use Dome Shield. Very solid play there to force those out and not use too many of their own. They used Dread Serpent, used Seismic Crash to start it, but that fight was long enough, honestly, to build up a couple more ultimates.
Double kill already. I mean, right there in the replay. It's already looking pretty good for FRZ. However, the damage charts are still in Natus Vincere's favor. Lazy 3-10. Rough game, but once again, he is being focused during some of these fights and these small little engagements here and there. So he's going to be getting burned down the most. Of course, you have the Cauterize 2. You have the Rezils coming online as well. Caught 3 for Phoenix. Record 2 for Mutu. Caught 2 for... Record 2 and Caught 2 for Mutu in this case. Ares, Record 3, Caught. Pretty much standard picks all around. 11% though, they've got this comeback mechanic, so they can have this point captured a lot faster.
Good adaptation by SSG. They recognized that Na'Vi was trying to set their own pace, so they kite back. No deaths means it's kind of a success for the start. Now SSG finally stepping back onto the points. And Doc very low, misses the overpower. So unfortunate. Off tank down for SSG means that the flank has to be a lot safer and potentially just give up this point, considering Na'Vi's cap time.
Yeah, Ninu already high in the sky, making sure he can actually hit these shots below on the ground. And he is hitting them. He is creating a lot of space between Na'Vi and SSG in this case, forcing them all the way back. They were able to capture the point. Once again, comeback mechanic being a little bit too strong in this case, but gets sniped right out of the sky. You got a Khan, you got a Ashe, Khan and a Vivian focus firing. You're going to get burned down. There's literally no question about that.
Yeah, for sure. Double comeback, I think, helping Na'Vi a lot in that situation. But they played it well. They started off the point, I think, kind of countering SSG's expectations. SSG had a good response, but one missed overpowering. At this level, when these teams are playing the way that they are, that could be enough to turn a fight. He's a little overextended there on the side. Does trade out for Ares, though, and that's honestly a success considering how close their spawns are.
Dread Serpent comes out to once again allow their team the ability to be able to go in. But Sadak, Rachao, both of them go down. Mitao, though, was able to get the last hit onto Ninu. Credit to him with the kill. FRZ blinks in, of course, to get some shots on the Phoenix, soften him up when he does that, which is shoulder bash his way in. He gets healed right back up, though, as Lazy was leaving looking pretty low. Uses that wormhole, but he's already getting focused. He might already be in a bad spot. Nice shots from Mutu. My goodness, do you know how difficult that is to be able to hit all of those shots consistently on Cassie, a projectile character?
I was still...
No, I understand. No, it's okay, Greg. Be as silent as you want to. That's completely valid.
That was a fantastic shots by Mutu to stop FRC from being the backline. Honestly, that's probably better for SSG.
Yeah.
We remember what happened yesterday. Anytime FRZ was behind, it wasn't great. And now they've kind of avoided that fate. Ninu in his standard position up here using the cover from the natural cover from the tree. Be able to continue spamming down onto the back line of SSG. Very aggressive play right now from the tanks from SSG. And Rachao getting very low and trades out for it. They have to find an answer quick or that won't be worth it.
A little bit too aggressive in this case. Same thing for Sadak, Ares, Mitao is probably going to go down as well. They do. 4 of them are gone. 4 ultimates are up for SSG. 4 ultimates are up for Na'Vi. But we only have 35 seconds left on the clock.
And the cart's getting close. They died at a good enough time where that they will have another contest up. FRZ actually doing very well, 11-7 right now. Kind of tying up Ninu, 11-9 on the other side. Ninu definitely getting focused a little bit more, I would say, though. Sadok rushing right now into the window room, trading out. Forces out the shield from Lazy, which actually could be a big deal depending on how aggressive they want to be. Void Grip also now not in the picture, so FRZ is a little bit more free on the other side of the map on his own.
Yeah, I already see, of course, the shots coming out from Mutu. Reloads to be able to, of course, continue that pressure. Seismic Crash comes out, gets the hit on the Lazy, though. Followed by Commander's grab. They're already looking pretty low. He does go down. The healing gets marked right onto Ninu from Genos' perspective. And in this case, though, they're still not going to be able to defend. They were able to take care of those frontliners. Mutu was able to get the very last kill during that slow-mo. But at the same time, 2 frontliners gone. It's going to be harder for you to be able to contest.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why you focus the tanks at that point in the game. Normally, focusing the tanks when they're trying to be in your face, usually not the best idea, just because that's what they want most of the time, you know. And this is that replay of those 2 fantastic shots. Wow, I didn't even notice the flick on the first one. It was crazy from Mutu. Phenomenal play from him. And when we have players that play like this is why Cassie gets picked so early. It's why she was being banned before people figured out how good Strix is. So much influence on the game Cassie has when you can connect those shots. Heading to this mid, though. 5 ultimates on the board for Na'Vi. Only 4 up for SSG, but Seismic Crash, actually, it is pretty good. I was going to say maybe it's not, but no, it actually is that good. With the Resilience on the board, it won't do quite as much. Scout coming in early for Na'Vi, so again, nothing sneaky from SSG, but they don't need to be sneaky if they're just winning the point cap.
3-2 already. Of course, CFRZ trying to go around for this flank, trying to catch him off guard, but Natus Vincere are already ready for it. The Scout came out, and so did the Sentinels. So really, everyone's just biding their time. Everyone's trying to poke to find their way. And you brought up a good point. Na'Vi are looking for that opportunity. They like to play things slow and figure stuff out. SSG was not giving them any room for error right there. A good through time and space he'd be able to hit. Ninu, of course, zoning them out just alone with the Dragon Punch. And then we already see right now that Phoenix used that assert dominance. He got the kill on Sadok, and now he's able to zone Ares as well in the backline, but he kills Mitao just as he threw out Dread Serpent, so now he doesn't have that ult anymore.
And buying so much time. Actually, SSG still contesting in the backline. I think that's FRZ bouncing back and forth to stop Na'Vi from capping. So not bad. What a great air shot from FRZ. Trading his funky on the point. I think he has Void Grip up. Doesn't. Gets forced away. Look how much distraction he's pulling. And this is actually massive for SSG. Mutu finally finds the shot, but without that, they wouldn't have had a chance to get this retake set up at all.
75% onto the point. Of course, we have that that young half comeback mechanic, that young half fast cap in this case. 3% every tick normally, and then every other tick there will be a 4th percentage right there. But 2 kills already for SSG, a 3rd for Ares. This looks like this could be it, and SSG can end up taking this game.
Looks like they will. Only Mutu alive coming in from the pit side, but Mutu's really good. He's not 1v4 good. He goes down rolling into the point, and SSG win their map pick of Brightmarsh. Really quick momentum switch for them. I think they played into the way Na'Vi wanted to play perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, game 2 already in the books for SSG right there, and you brought up a good point. Mutu's good, but he's not 1v4 good. He's not going to be able to.
Really
no one's. Yeah, there's like, unless you have some sort of invincibility, I don't know if you're going to be able to do what it is that you need to. However, the thing is that of course they were able to clutch this little game out, and I do like how SSG played that. I brought up a little bit in the cast, but of course I'm going to bring it up here just a little bit. Is the fact of how Na'Vi likes to play things very, very slow. Methodically, they like to sort of dismantle the opposing team, but they weren't able to dismantle SSG when they had a response like that. Game 2, 1-1 already. Right after this break, we'll be right into Game 3.
The Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins.
Que un origami, de la forma que tú besas, mami, más simétrica que un origami. Eres perfecta mujer, de la cabeza a los pies, tú pasas de mi nivel, tú tienes el piquete, de la forma que tú besas, mami, más simétrica que un origami, de la forma que tú besas, mami, más simétrica que un origami. Amarte es mi maña, que lo que toca mi mano se dañan, pero amor es lo que dicen, como un color entre los grises. Yo nunca te fallé, tú no eres cualquiera, tú eres eres la mujer, mi corazón anhela. Pasan por ahí todos y todas esas poses que tú conoces gracias a mi mujer. Ni tu amigo, pero en vivo solo contigo disfruto el show, bebé. Alright.
Game 2 comes to a close, and we are tied up here. Big game for Spacestation Gaming. And sorry, Mike, I got to call you out. He stops me in the break room and says, so what's the longest streak we have in the PPL right now? Me not understanding. He said, yeah, we beat Renegades 4-0, beat Na'Vi 4-0. Yesterday beat the Knights 4-0. They were on a 13-map win streak going into this game. Spacestation Gaming are the ones to put a stop to that one, and that's pretty impactful, Gore.
Being able to, well, I mean, I guess cut it before it gets too large there overall and cause them maybe some distress. Being able to kind of keep it close. I didn't know what to expect out of this, and I mean, even looking at their history, it's been a 4-1 and a 4-3 in the past. I don't know what to expect out of it going forward. I mean, you have a lot going right there for Mutu, for Ninu, but you can't really beat the 201. We can round it up a little bit, 202,000 there.
Yeah.
Essentially for Mitau that came through. A lot of good damage, and even though it didn't translate to big damage numbers, a lot of potency coming down from Freeze God.
Well, that's always the difference maker, isn't it? It happened in our set that we casted earlier. It's like, wait, how are they losing the top 4 damage dealers in this game or for the enemy team? Sure enough, you flip to the healing charts, and it's pretty discrepant. Mitau, 3-6 and 25, 28 affected kills. Ares actually, good game on the Vivian. And, you know, Freeze God made those big, flashy plays as you do. Ares with 30 affected kills, 10-6 and 20 for him. But Freeze at 13, 9, and 7 had those executes that just tilted things in SSG's favor.
Was able to find a very big distraction factor as well. I mean, there were moments where we were like, why is Na'Vi not on the point? What are they doing? Why are they not focusing the objective right now? Maybe because Freeze God's in the back line doing something that warrants attention. You have to deal with him, or else he's going to run rampant. I mean, we've seen this guy in King of the Ring. We've seen him throughout this year. We've seen him on the world stage. His EV is deadly, and always something that you got to kind of keep your mind on if it's there in the game. So Bright Marsh looks really good for them, and they're able to kind of tie that one up with a pretty neat bow on top.
King of the Ring is our new metric, of course, for determining if people are, you know, really that good. That's right. Freeze God definitely is. Tied up at 1 now, though, and, you know, jokes aside, dominance recently from Na'Vi. I mean, 12-0 map-wise over the last 3 games coming into this one, over some big names. Knights, Knights, Envy, and Renegades being the 3 teams that they 4-0'd up to this point. And we wondered if this was going to be kind of a blow out of the water performance for Na'Vi or if SSG were going to be able to hang in there. And I think Brightmarsh shows us that, at least only through 2 games, still a lot of games left to be played.
Yeah.
SSG are going to be able to hang around.
This has always been one of the teams, though, that SSG just hasn't been able to figure out. That just, for some reason, Na'Vi has always just escaped them.
Sure.
And so looking towards the future of this set, I think, admittedly, winning Brightmarsh now giving Na'Vi a map choice and maybe kind of getting them back in the driver's seat, knowing the maps that SSG have been very proficient on these last 2 weeks, it might honestly not be that great for them. Does kind of depend. I expect at some point we might end up seeing something like a Serpent Beach.
Sure.
Frog Isle was already taken away. Bizarre maps like those that are maybe a little more out there could potentially swing their way over towards Na'Vi as well. So kind of having to keep all of that in mind as they continue kind of marching forward with it. SSG are in the good position or bad position, I guess, depending on where they are, that they've shown off that they can beat Na'Vi.
Yeah.
But the question is whether or not you can keep that consistently.
Sure, and consistent looking for that on map 3. Stone Keep for Na'Vi. Of course, in the back of my head, if, you know, Na'Vi end up winning this one, I think at some point SSG then rotate to Splitstone Quarry, not banned out in this set. That's been one of their tried and trues. So keep that one in the back of your mind if Na'Vi are able to win this one on Stone Keep. Willow first ban, Atlas second. Ash, pretty notably, second ban for Na'Vi. So now it's the flip-flop of what we saw a couple games ago where Khan is now the last off-tank open and available. SSG in an interesting spot where they haven't really kind of bought into that Fernando off-tank conversation the same way that Na'Vi have, and Na'Vi can play him in both spots. I imagine, yes, that they will go Barrack And Cassie's a good second pick here for Space Station Gaming. Then the off-tank conversation becomes a little bit more interesting with Khan being picked up and Ash being banned out.
Yeah, it honestly opens the door
Very nice.
for the conversation. Fernando was there and has been successful for Na'Vi. I don't think they would go Fernando over Inara.
No.
Depending on the scenario.
I wouldn't
But
think. No.
we've seen SSG, I think even yesterday, had games where they went Barrack and Nara, put Sadak on the Barrack and let him kind of beat the off-tank for them. So still some potency and maybe something to be said about that. But it'll have to be seen as to whether or not they do that. More than likely going to be Rachao. Definitely been very prominent when Rachao is running it. We've also seen a couple teams lately running, and today notwithstanding, this double off-tank kind of composition. Khan plus Ash, Khan plus Ruckus, Khan plus another kind of very high damagey, maybe not
Ruckus,
quite so
of course.
high health. That could potentially open it up. But yeah, SSG Sadak loves himself some Ruckus, so
Absolutely.
always opens the door for that tank in the conversation.
And Stone Keep is a good map for the Ruckus.
And they already have the Cassie.
And they already have the Cassie, so it might be the sounds of Ruckus in the distance for Space Station Gaming. Na'Vi in the meantime lock in Eevee and Genos. Likely going to be Ninu on that Eevee. And of course, who else but Spunky on the Genos. We've seen, looking specifically at Genos through time and space, hit or miss, of course, is the buzzword surrounding that, but it's been more miss recently. But Spunky still finds a way to be one of the supports that can more consistently than not hit those ultimates.
Stranger.
SSG, though, opting for the double point tank.
Being able to go through Sadak on Barrack yesterday, I mean, he was keeping up with Rock Monkey's damage on Strix.
Yeah.
And that's actually, I guess, maybe one of the big things. Snipers on this map are not outlandish. It's not a weird pick to make. And Strix, unbanned, has been first pick in a lot of these games that he's been unbanned.
Single breath
goes all the way down here to 7th.
Yeah. And this is what having a Fernando in your wheelhouse does for you, where you feel okay against any other team. SSG are thinking we're gonna pick Barrack and Nara and force Na'Vi, or not in this case Na'Vi, any of the other teams in this league onto Fernando. But Na'Vi and other teams are getting comfortable with him, but Na'Vi being the team in the PPL that are comfortable with Fernando point tank, they're fine with that being their last pick. SSG, of course, I think will be fine as well with Inara Barrack. Playing Barrack more in that off-tank role, that aggressive off-tank moving forward, doing some good damage for Sadak. But I do definitely think that Na'Vi probably realize they're going to go Barrack and Nara.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get Fernando, and they're okay with it.
Kind of opens things up for them. I mean, we've seen some teams in the past in this kind of conversation, either when Inara or Barrack maybe are banned and the other one gets picked up, they'll try to run Khan solo, and we have not seen that be too successful. And that was actually that last pick what I was curious about, whether or not, with Eevee gone after such a good Eevee game, are you going to go for the Drogos? It is something that works very well on this map. Actually, most of my memories, it's really weird that when I think of Drogos on Stone Keep, I actually think of Shadow more than anybody having some very, very prominent games here. But it's into the Strix, so he's going to have a little bit of a maybe struggle matchup there. I think maybe not even with Combustible, but just some good Dragon Spits into Window and Banana, or maybe just over towards where he typically roosts up to watch over the objective. You could theoretically keep this Strix under wraps, kind of no problem if you're Drogos. It's still going to be a counter matchup, but you can play it well.
Do you think it's Combustible or maybe pivot to the Worm Jets?
I'm going to say Worm Jets, but honestly, either could work.
We'll have to jump into game to find out. Game 3, let's go.
Let's get right into it. Mike just came in here, Kreza. You can go ahead and...
Oh, I thought you were saying, let's get into it, Mike.
Oh, no.
Like, who?
Yeah, come on, Mike. Isn't that you sitting over? No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Mike actually just walked into the caster booth and said, we lost our streak, and walked out.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to know what's going on on this side of the map. But Wormjets Drogos into a Strix on Stone Keep. I think it's kind of weird. Purely because I'm actually not sure where they're going to play. Running Wormjets makes me think they're going to play outside. If they were going to play inside Keep, it would definitely be Combustible. Wormjets, a lot better for the outside, can use those walls and bridge to cover. No one actually playing inside Keep. Both teams going to kind of battle for this ground supremacy. Strix dropping down at first, he's smartly disengaging immediately, and that's probably going to be the story of this set as time goes on.
Oh my goodness. But however, when you hit shots like that, you stick Mutu on the Strix, and you clearly see There are plenty of spots that he knows where to go, plenty of shots he knows how to hit. Sadak, Khan, Barrick, and this Khan pretty much locked on the side right here. Of course, FRZ is going to be able to just drop right down to where Phoenix is. Aries ends up getting the kill on the Ninu, though. That's already going to be looking pretty good for them. A nice snipe from Mutu, though, is going to take care of FRZ.
Aries actually with a great flank onto Spunky, performing super well in the church area so far, but Mutu very tough to deal with up top here, being protected by Phoenix.
Oh,
dropping down, taking down Aries with a quick shot. It's a flare combo, and Rashao smartly dying on. I was going to say, if he got off point when I said that, I would have felt weird, but trying to die on point, but realizes he can get away. Speed Spirits from Damba allows a lot of rotation potential, so he can live to refight another day. Ultimate's getting close to coming online. Dread Serpent, Scout, Seismic Crash, all potentially on the board soon for Space Station. Let's see what they choose to use to come back into this fight.
Yeah, FRZ is definitely trying to find some shots here. And then, of course, Mintow throws out that Dread Serpent just now to be able to peel back away from the team. Drops the Ice Storm, though, right onto Rachao. The rest of Natus Vincere are just going to home in on him, focus him down, fire a shot. Of course, Mutu, in that same respect, fires a shot to get rid of that turret. Now he's going to be able to look at Barrick. A nice headshot drops down into Dome Shield immediately through time and space to be able to get rid of that turret. Now the shield's the only thing that's left. Once that dissipates, Sadak is open to plenty of focus fire from Natus Vincere.
If the fight had gone better on the other side of the map, it could have been workable, but it just didn't. Right now, no one's able to deal with Mutu on this draft for SSG. Here comes Seismic Crash, countered by Immortal. FRZ knows he can't go in after getting shot once by Mutu, so things are going to slow down just a little bit. Great flank by Aries, though, in the low ground. Did he see Mutu? I don't think he did. Aries on less than a bar of HP, 5 left for him, but he manages to live. It's just enough to distract Mutu. Aries is ready to refight from the top of Keep.
Stock and Rachao, man. The two of them together were able to at least take care of most of that fight. They get the overpower, but he hits on the tree. He doesn't actually fall over the edge. He tries to shoot him from that far away, right over the cliff, but he hit the tree, bounced off. Rachao still goes down. So now the rest of them are really going to try and move in, get Sadak off of this point. Lazy sitting right here along with the Khan. The snipe from Mutu in the back line. Nino falls over with a shot, a good headshot coming up from Mutu as well. This first point fight is amazing, but good. Dread Serpent coming out from Mintow to try and control that point, but they still lose the fight. That you hate to see that happen.
That Dread Serpent had charged just a
moment sooner. Yeah, if it was literally just a minute sooner, that would have been sick.
Well, if it was a minute sooner, this fight would have been over a long time ago.
Okay, well, it's okay, Critic. It's a way of me saying it. It's just a...
You're right, a moment sooner, and that Dread Serpent would have been
exactly.
super influential. Still, though, Na'Vi, by the skin of their teeth,
wow, man.
win that fight. Strong play by SSG Rashao. I think he could have walled and accepted his fate. He was trying to make it to the door before his DR ran out. I think that might have been what caught. If I had to pin it on one small thing, that's the biggest thing I can think of. But aggressive pressure right now by SSG. Fire Spit around the corner. Trying to get in, but there's a lot coming on from SSG. They're connecting their shots right now, and that makes life really hard as an EV. Seismic Crash comes in, connects on Rashao, but no one's there to clean up the kill.
Yeah, it was smart. It was a good idea. Use Seismic Crash to be able to try and keep himself right in the air to get that little bit of sight there. Of course, being able to use the time and space to be able to get the sniper. Ice Storm gets dropped down. We already have 2 kills that come out for Na'Vi, though. Lazy, the last one on the team to be able to get that kill on a Sadak. They're able to sort of push this payload in, keep on going. FRZ, try to find his angle, gets shot by Mutu. Man on man. I mean, Gore already called it, but this is already a problem for FRZ to be able to try and find his way in with Mutu literally staring down at him at all times through a barrel.
Yeah, there's definitely, if they had been playing into a keep composition, maybe it would have been possible, but it's just not.
Yeah.
Rashao has to wall himself off. Sadak holding this upper area. Lazy used his shield, and they're ready to refight. Phoenix actually caught a little bit on the cart, but Aries goes down up top. They were trying to be just a little bit too aggressive, and he wanders into the range of the flamethrower.
Lazy ends up getting the kill on the Aries, which is always good. Of course, FRZ drops down to be able to try and stand directly in this dome shield, but finds himself right into the loving arms of Ninu, who more than willingly picks up that kill. Aries, though, able to get a kill on the Lazy. Burst him down just a little bit. Rachau's such a bad spot. Another Dread Serpent trying to peel for his team. I really like the use of Midtow's Dread Serpents like throughout both of these games.
Well, yeah, again, I mentioned this before when Damba started kind of seeing some more play. You gotta use them early. That's kind of the whole thing about Dread Serpent, because once Resilience is online, they don't really do too much. Ares getting a little bit forward at the top. Dragon Punch manages to get charged, but it just baits the Immortal. And now FRZ can reposition to a better place to fight this. Lazy doesn't have shield up, and the spam from FRZ now in the skybox is enough to get the kill.
Mutu, however, is able to trade that out for his good friend Lazy's life in the sacrifice of Freeze God. Phoenix, though, gets killed over Chow, but they're able to clean things up pretty well. Ninu, though, between Ninu and Mutu, the two of them together, followed by Spunky, are enough to actually cap this payload. It looked like the fight was going to be able to shift to them. They were already pretty low. I thought they were going to back off, but Spunky, Mutu, Ninu. Ninu more than anyone during that last fight, able to get that kill, clutch it out, blink in, and finish the job.
Also, the fact that Mutu basically hasn't lost a 1v1 with Ares yet.
Exactly.
I don't even know if that's on Ares either. It's just on Mutu. Is he running Roost? Can we see his build really quick? I want to know if he's running any level of Roost on the Strix.
Loadout.
If we could see the Strix, if we could see if he is running Roost, because I feel like he's getting these flashbangs really quickly.
Yeah,
he's not. Mutu's just nuts.
Okay, yeah, he just
I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Mutu's kind of insane, but it's really helping so much as time's going on. I feel like every time they go to fight, he's flashbanging someone, and there's just no answer for SSG. Resilience helps, but it's early. It's not helping quite yet. Scout coming in now for SSG, so can't do anything sneaky. Mutu immediately starting and stopping his stealth just to get the speed boost to move around. Even with wall hacks on, Inu's still the first one to go down.
FRZ in a spot like this, along with Ares, being able to get that good flank, able to actually kill Ninu immediately. Really one of the first few people in the round to be able to go down. And of course, they got this comeback mechanic. SSG is going to be able to cap it a lot faster, but they do actually manage to get Barrick with that overpower. Rachel tries to follow up, Dread Serpent to try and actually keep them off of his teammate. They do get the kill on the Phoenix, though. Mutu's still in a good spot. Dragon Punch is coming in. He just so happens to, I don't know if he actually knew he was there, if the invisibility wore out just in the right amount of time. So what I think happened, FRZ was able to get the kill on the Mutu because of that. And now with a good salvo, he's able to clean it up on Spunky as well.
And now double comeback means SSG have so much cap time. They started with it. Roshan knew when to get off the point and get aggressive and just guarantee this cap. SSG with the first point on the board this match. And stealth isn't going to help you. When Scout's online, Ares catches Mutu, and now he's going to slow down again. They're going to move forward, probably stop just at this choke by the fire and top left. There only has a name for top left. They kind of just say upper. Fire being the other side of the map. Rachel, very aggressive, actually cleans up on Phoenix.
Nice, good kill from SSG. Already they're being able to push his payload slowly but surely in. Drops down with Ice Storm. Ninu actually ends up whipping it because the Barrick is actually able to get out just in the right amount of time. Of course, Ares and the rest of SSG, they're holding in the spot you expect them to see. FRZ wants to be able to watch this little room right here. Keep Lazy pinned as well as Ninu. Keep anyone from walking through there. And then at the same time, the rest of SSG is really just pushing the point. They've got a minute 45. They still got time. They're the ones that are pretty much winning a lot of these engagements. Good through time and space on number Chow, but he's a Gnar. It's not going to do much.
Earthen Guard was up. It only did 1,200 damage at that point. FRZ getting chunked very low, but as long as he can just keep trading into Ninu, things are a lot easier for him. That really is a matchup that I would say huge advantage towards the Drogos for. Let's see Sadar trade on the side. Disadvantage to the attacking team, especially with Mutu finding this perfect angle to push.
Oh my goodness, this is why you don't let him go wild. In this case, another good snipe, another good one, my goodness. The Call of Duty montage is real with this man. Sign him up with FaZe Clan. Already 89,446 damage as it is. He's getting so many good snipes. You let him do what he does on Strix. You let him rotate. You give him the opportunity, and Mutu is going to take it, hitting so many clean headshots and body shots that just end up being the kill.
Definitely excited to watch him do some ladder bounces on the next map when he gets to that point.
Yeah.
I will say, this is why Strix is being banned. This is why Strix is being so highly prioritized, because of the ability of players at this level to do that. He really is just arguably the best mid-ranger at this point with that much potential. Flashbang coming in. Ares doesn't know what's going on because of it. They clean up on him with the Ice Storm. Dragon Punch, because SSG might want to turn this into something, but no one's close enough. He tries to bait the Immortal, but Lazy smarter than that, not spent, and now SSG's in a worse position.
Nice. The Dread Serpent actually ended up coming through Rachel with a double. One on the Mutu, one on the Lazy. Now he's looking at Ninu. All three of those shots hit. Even though he didn't get the kill, that just goes to show how good Rachel is on that Inara, man. At the same time, though, in retrospect, Mutu, I mean, he's opening the door for his team so many different times. In situations like this where they got those kills on the side, you said they traded, and then this happens because they don't have anyone else to be able to peel back, fall back, and help their backline anymore.
This is also Na'Vi just recognizing the weakness in a team's positioning, right? As soon as Sadoc's trading out with Lazy on the side. Rishao goes, I have to help Sadoc.
Yeah.
He rotates over. And then suddenly Navi's like, fire's open. We're just like, okay. I'll go. That's not what Mutu sounds like.
Yeah, I was about to say the Terminus Yeti voice.
I was just doing a different voice.
The Terminus Yeti
Mutu
voice.
walks straight through, using that speed from tactical retreat to boost himself in, more or less. Cleans up 3 immediately. You have to keep this Strix in check.
Right.
They managed to in that last mid-fight, but in that fight specifically, SSG just didn't have a chance.
Of course, through time and space is up. Overpower and Immortal. They've got some things to keep them alive, of course, and they're in a bad spot. Of course, Bucky would be able to punch that with through time and space if he tries to go for a pick any way, shape, or form. Really, they're just being able to push right on the point. Rachao got 27% already for SSG. Dome Shield goes down, though. Rockets were coming through from SSG. I mean, they are coming from SSG, but Freeze God more specifically. Of course, everyone's really just poking at each other. No one's really finding any definitive kills, and with the percentage building as it is, it's hard to actually decide who's going to be able to come out on top of it.
Navi got the first pick, and SSG had basically 90% of uncontested cap time. Finally, Lazy rotates down through time and space, catches Midtown. Die on point, please. Thank you, Sadoc. Okay, thank you. So Rashao's going to do it as well. This gives them a chance to have another fight. If Rashao had backed up and then gotten staggered, it would have been really rough. Navi smartly staggering Ares out, but what matters is that the tanks died early. They're the ones that have to be coming back at the right times. It's really tough, though. They're coming into an Immortal and an Overpower, 2 very impactful ultimates. Overpower is probably going to go for a Nara, realistically. Maybe Rishao can time his damage reduction to block that out. Sadoc also kind of sneaking up on Khan, but Mutu spotted it out. Rishao getting dangerously low, but nobody stopped it. Nobody stopped the barrack. Nobody called it out.
Of course, FRZ's coming right in to be able to hit this Dragon Punch. He does get it, but we already got 3 kills in Natus Vincere's favor. Right, now they're looking at the next one, and that's going to be it. They're going to be able to capture this point. They're going to be able to go up 3-2 against SSG.
And that was a great start by them. I'm not sure what happened to FRZ on that first hold. They had 87 uncontested. Navi waiting so patiently and keep. I guess sometimes you just can't avoid the Strix angle. If he's invisible when he's rotating, how do you know when that first shot's going to come from? So tough to know what the Strix is going to do. Dread Serpent coming in right now from SSG to try to make something happen, but everybody's low. No one's able to go out. Too much damage coming in from Navi.
Ares goes around on the side. And just to hit this engage ball. Of course, you're going to have that big game damage to be able to take care of Mutu, but Phoenix, Lazy, the 2 of them already dealing with both frontliners respectively. Of course, we're going to take a look at the slash lines. See that Ninu, 11-5, Mutu, 14-7. They're having an outstanding game. 5-7-11 for Lazy, 9-5 for Phoenix as well, with Mutu being at the top of the damage charts in this case. And we already see that he's already going around on the flank, going to be able to get more damage and possibly a kill. Nice, with the invisibility too.
Yeah, but Sadoc was there in Banana to find the kill. They know how important it is to keep pressure on him. Even losing 1-for-1, honestly, I'm happy. I'm against Mutu on Strix. We trade. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
After seeing what he's been doing earlier. Right now, Lunina very aggressive.
Oh, nice. Good snake bite.
Flicker was enough to heal him. Take back around here. Oh, FRZ goes down on the other side. Assuming just some chip from Spunky, so Navi in a great position to even just convert this, honestly, if they can't stop the payload. Yeah,
Luminary goes immediately onto Lazy in this case. They're slowly pushing, man. I mean, they've got a minute left, so they still got plenty of time to be able to consider how they want to approach this angle. SSG not able to really find their opening. Real quick, I remember that we were bringing up the fact about how Navi like to play very patiently. SSG weren't giving them any room for error in this case because they were just being aggressive and not giving them an opportunity. But do you think that's because of the map? You think it's because of Stone Keep now that SSG aren't able to adapt as freely, or is it the draft? Like, what is it that changed from last game to this one?
I think it's the Strix.
The Strix, yeah, just Mutu?
I think Strix is really just forcing the issue. Look at this flashbang in the spawn. Only FRC admits how alive. Sadoc finally respawning, but he has to dome shield off the objective. There's only one spot you can stand there, and it's not the right one. Now they bring it in. After a really contested back and forth game, SSG just fall apart on the mid-fight.
Yeah, I mean, Game 3 already in the books for Natus Vincere. They did extremely well, and I completely understand what you mean. I mean, you don't even really have to explain it to be able to see it as well. I was just curious as to what you thought was actually the change there, but Mutu, of course, is the issue itself. I mean, the Drogo's there. Talked a little bit about it. Of course, it was a little bit shaky, but that Strix was just too good, man.
I mean, FRZ was doing fine for what I'd expect of a Drogo's into a Strix. Maybe if he had run Combustible and played corners, it would have been better, but he committed on the Worm Jets, and it did better than I was actually expecting, honestly, into how quickly Mutu was rotating and how quickly they were pouncing on these openings that were being left. Still think they did well, but Navi walked away with the win.
Yeah, I mean, they took the ultimate opening in this case. Game 3, already in the books right after this break. We'll be into Game 4.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Premier League.
Tiebreaker this time on Stone Keep, and Natus Vincere find themselves the win. On the back of some great DPS performance, the front lines opening the door, doing everything they need to do, and Spunky pouring out some healing and a little bit of damage himself as well. That's a complete look in Natus Vincere, Gore.
There was a lot, I think, that was maybe shaking between,
Sure.
Is this Drogo's going to pop off? Is it going to be Strix that pops off? Sometimes they were fighting each other and having it go either way, but I think Mutu came out just a little bit more often on his end of that fight and was able to kind of help seal the deal. It's just a very consistent fight that he was going to be able to bring, and that was one of the biggest kind of question marks for me going into it was like,
right.
You're picking this Drogo's up. He has to go big. And Freeze God does go big a lot of the time on Stone Keep as well. But this time around, it was a little easier, I think, to kind of put a cap on him.
Sure.
Ninu then was able to kind of run maybe a little more rampant because of that.
And, we saw Chronix play Strix in effectively every game he was able to. In the last set, and Mutu is certainly good on it as well, so I wasn't surprised to see him pick up the Strix here on Stone Keep. 120,000 damage for him. That's good for top in the game. Ninu right on his heels with, call it 100. Sadak, you and I mentioned pregame the damage potential of that kind of off-tank barrack that Sadak plays, and it's laid out for you there in numbers. 103,000 damage for the barrack. Not enough this time around.
Being able to come through, yeah, it really does translate. I mean, you have that much damage on barrack. He's 5-11. That's where those inconsistencies come from. I mean, we were looking at it earlier, and we've been talking about it a lot these last couple of days, but you've seen more, or I personally feel like I've seen more damage numbers where the damage numbers are just top-notch, and then the KDA does not match what you would expect it to. On the other side, lower damage numbers here for Na'Vi, and almost every single one of them going positive, just translates to them getting more meaningful and impactful damage, was able to convert it into kills every time. Phoenix was part of the big driving factor, I think, behind that, doing a lot, allowing the team to get aggressive, also very appropriately positioned so that SSG couldn't take over specific areas of the map.
Well, Phoenix has always been that tried and true for Natus Vincere, where talk about Ninu coming in, maybe how things change, because it's kind of the core of this Na'Vi game plan, where Phoenix, one of the best off-tanks aggressively in the league, and making sure that duo is still there. The Phoenix moves forward, usually on a Khan, sometimes Ashe, those types of champions. Is the rest of the team going to be able to play behind him? So that game on Stone Keep at 10-5, I mean, he does a lot of the killing as well, but opening up that space is it's not super highlightable. It's not a moment that you capture the clips of, but Phoenix is one of the best to do it.
Impact that he can have in a game is astronomical in a lot of these instances, and I think it's just another example of that, being able to kind of come through and pick that up. Mutu had a really good game. A couple of times he gets caught out for the most part, is able to sit into the back. Ninu had a really good game. Pretty much everyone from top to bottom on Na'Vi had a great game. Even, as you said, Spunky put out 50,000 damage on the Jenna, so making sure that his name is heard and rung true. It's just one of those consistent, I guess consistency is key, is the best phrase for it, for Na'Vi there, as they kind of drive that one home, but it's not enough to seal. Like, after map 1, you close it out, I'm like, okay, this looks like it could just be a 4-0.
Sure.
After these 3 maps together, I'm not sure that it's going to be a 4-0. I'm not even sure it's going to be a 4-1 for them.
Yeah.
It definitely is maybe a little shakier in kind of the middle areas for, like anytime it could be a 3-2 scoreline. Right. There's definitely maps I think SSG are going to have that are over Na'Vi here. And
sure.
That's, now in their court to decide.
SSG, they're very much still in this set. I mean, again, it's 4-1 the first time these two teams played this year, then 4-3 later on in that split. So, I mean, you can see this improvement of SSG where they start to learn a little bit better how to play up against Na'Vi. Maybe the matches start to become a little bit closer, a little bit more contested. Maybe we're seeing that today in an SSG that's starting to feel more confident after getting here, getting their feet underneath them, and the play style that they bring to kind of counteract what Na'Vi bring, because so much of Na'Vi's success is on the back of Phoenix, Lazy, the front lines opening up that space. Same with SSG, Sadak and Rashao. That's a huge matchup to look at. The point tanks and the off tanks going up against one another. So much of SSG's success is on the back end of their front line as well.
I think this is actually one of those matchups where potentially watching, Lazy versus Rashao is one of the biggest things that could come through, because both of them are more than capable of not only controlling the objective, but the area around it, and maybe even then some. We saw Rashao going huge yesterday. Same thing for Lazy. Locking the Knights in their base as Fernando. So keeping an eye on that frontline matchup might actually be more impactful than the Freeze-Ninu matchup, even though that one feels really flashy.
Matchups top to bottom here in this set. You're going to have to take a quick break before you can watch them play out in our next game. Small tech issue on the back end. We're going to get to fixing that, and we'll see you in a sec. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for sticking around. We have identified, started to fix the issue. We're going to swap out one of the PCs in one of the team booths, make sure everything is working properly before we jump in to game number 4. Avoid any pauses, anything like that on the back end. Game 4 coming up in just a minute. Don't go anywhere.
So you had me bite through the bullet. I won't play a second fiddle with you. You look away just when they pull it. You gotta step up, yeah, you miss your cue. Ooh, ooh, your time is up now. I'm no fool. I know what you are up to. Keep things cool, but it won't help you. This time, this time, this time, no, no. This time, yeah. This time, no, no. I had your back when they were on ya. Wasn't easy, but I held your ground. Still I get nothing honest from ya. Excuse me, but I won't buy into your big lie. No need to bother me tonight. They shoot you down this time and I won't fight. I got my head held high. This time, no, no. This time, yeah. This time, no,
Welcome back, guys. Thanks for sticking around one last time. We're going to send it to a break here in just a minute. Make sure everything is all tip-top shape. I don't know how to plug in new computers. We have some people working on that. So hopefully they'll get everything all figured out here and get Game 4 rolling in just a minute.
Yeah, we let each other down, down, down. Oh, we let each other down, 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 down. Yeah, we let each other down, down, down. This shouldn't be us. Why can't it be us when the way we call them? We weren't supposed to break up. It's too late to make up to what my heart wants. No, this should not be us, not be us, not be us. This should not be us, not be us, not be us. That we were better than all of the others. Just us. Said we wouldn't let things come between us. Let love rule, not be us, not us, not us. But we let each other down, 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 down. Yeah, we let each other down, 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 down. But we let each other down, 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 down. Yeah, we let each other down, 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 down. This shouldn't be us. Why can't it be us when we waiting on them? We weren't supposed to break up. It's too late to make up to what my heart wants. No, this should not be us, not be us, not be us. This should not be us, not be us, not be us.
Welcome back, guys. One last time, we're going to a quick. Just kidding. We're back for good this time. Phoenix just
gave me a heart attack there.
Gormizer was nervous. Now everything's all figured out. Phoenix just in game tweaking his settings up, making sure everything is all good to go before we jump back into Game 4. As a bit of a recap up to this point, in case you're just tuning in or have been blinking in and out. 2-1 is where we stand for Natus Vincere. Spacestation Gaming, though, have looked pretty good despite the two in favor of Natus Vincere.
The first map was a 4-0. It looked very, very convincing. Kind of maybe convinced us that this set would go on maybe a little faster. SSG bring it back on Bright Marsh. Looks pretty good between both of the teams, but they ultimately just controlled the point better. And then last one, Stone Keep. Everybody on Na'Vi did really well. Damage numbers were lower. Kill streaks were higher. They were running the show.
And, of course, that Bright Marsh game stands out, as I had previously mentioned. Natus Vincere were on a 13-map win streak spanning the last 3 games and into this one. And SSG were the ones who were able to break it. So we're going into map number 4 here in just a moment to maybe see if Natus Vincere are able to move one game closer to winning it, or SSG tie it up one more time. 4-0 for Na'Vi to start off, 4-2, 4-2 back after that. Not surprising, Splitstone Corey.
Yeah, you actually called this, 3 breaks ago. Either way, you called it earlier in the set. You had said Splitstone Corey. Not surprising to see SSG go there. It's one of the maps that they love and have done really, really well on historically, have had more control on than we've seen out of a lot of teams. But I feel like at this point, especially in the year, Na'Vi should be able to keep up with them more or less.
You would think so. Strix banned out for SSG here. Some of that long-range potential on Splitstone, Corey. Ever so important. Cassie, Leon, two direct damage dealers that kind of come to mind, or my mind, in this game. But more so for Na'Vi. We've seen SSG have almost a distaste for Leon. In a composition where Leon makes the most sense, they'll pivot onto something like the Vivian or a different backliner in that case. So I almost think SSG really kind of need Cassie or nothing in this case if for some reason they don't want to go to the Leon again.
Well, I think what Na'Vi are doing here is interesting. Maeve banned out both Ares and Freeze God, very, very prominent on that. Right. Mutu, notably, we've seen run it. Ninu, we've seen run it. So it's 4 players in this game that are going to get affected by that one. And I think they were hoping SSG maybe wouldn't go for the Atlas. Maeve and Eevee on this map are very, very potent. And in the right hands here for SSG, that could potentially end the game. But it also opens up the door for Na'Vi to maybe scoop up the Eevee here if SSG don't opt to first pick it. And if they do opt to first pick it, then you just get the pick of the litter and everything else that's available.
Yeah, I mean, you're really juggling 3 or 4 different priorities here in this case. Do you go for one of the 2 premier off tanks? Do you feel strongly enough about Khan? Do you feel strongly enough about Ashe to first pick that for SSG? Or do you think Eevee is strong enough here? Willow, even as somebody who has not so much been banned out between these 2 teams, but traditionally in this meta, Willow has found herself banned out a good bit. Thinking long and hard about the same question, though, or SSG. There's many different routes they can go, and it's less of them getting something they don't want, because plenty of great options on the table, but lots that they could give up to Na'Vi.
And, your question specifically, and I like that we were kind of on Sadak for part of that, because Ashe, the off-tanks, Ashe has been very, very important to SSG on this map and their success. I don't know how often. I don't have the direct stats on it. I know Kresnik probably might have the numbers to be able to throw out for that, for at least the first split coming through. But Ashe has been very, very potent on this map for Sadak specifically to be able to make a big difference. And so they might still be able to get that, but with Willow now picked up, with Strix banned, if you want a sniper, Kinessa's kind of stock skyrockets for you, but she's not usually one that's big here. You had mentioned Cassie a lot. That's big for, again, 4 players in this game who can play her. I also wouldn't be too far-fetched to think of Victor on this map and maybe come through as a counter to the Willow, maybe to get a hit scan presence in burst mode that'll just knock her down.
Absolutely. And, speaking of Victor, that's now kind of where I look for SSG. They'll obviously pick, healer front line over the next few picks, but kind of that last flex damage dealer. They haven't really liked the Leon. I think any other team, I would say this is probably a Leon flex kind of into that last damage position. I don't know if SSG are a team that really likes to play the Leon or feels comfortable playing the Leon. So picking up Cassie for Na'Vi I think is a great start for them. SSG are going to leave one final off tank or regular tank and then a damage dealer for their last 2 picks. Na'Vi are going to have to show a little something extra here, whether it's their flex or front line and healer, which is looking like the latter in this case. Hovering the Inara. Great champion for Lazy and little Maldamba for Spunky.
I mean, what, 50,000 damage last game on the Genos. And all I can see in my eyes right now, I think it was last week. It must have been last week because it wasn't yesterday, where he hit that ridiculous stun.
I will fight to protect
that was
the
able to kind of
sanctity
help
of the
them come
wild.
through on this map, on the Maldamba. So not too surprising to see Na'Vi pick that up and maybe kind of come through. Also, just staples. This is a perfect draft in the sense that it all works really, really well on this map, and it doesn't tell you anything about that last pick.
I think Ash smart here for SSG. Looking like Vivian again for Ares. Kind of the epitome of hit or miss for SSG. Some great games, some not great games. Which Vivian are you going to get? Well, that might dictate the way that this game goes for Spacestation. Na'Vi, one last flex damage dealer. Open for them. Still some options. Willow, definitely something that you have to take into account here. Cassie can do it. Khan as well can do some good damage throughout that Fae Flight. It's looking like Eevee against all odds, 10th pick.
Honestly, I think that was maybe their plan. Like when they banned Maeve, I think they wanted SSG to potentially go into the Eevee and then they themselves would grab the Willow. But with Willow being picked up there, that's probably the biggest thorn in their side this game. If Willow goes crazy, then this game might just be done only on the back of the Willow for Freeze God. But Vivian, like you said, very hit or miss. Barrick has been very consistent. Ash has been essential to SSG's success. So we'll have to see if they can kind of continue that and make it work, or if maybe it's going to fall through the grate because of that Eevee.
Well, it's my favorite scoreline, 2-1. Na'Vi knocking on the door of 3 wins, but it's game 4, and that means let's take a look at the casters.
Hey guys, it's us, the casters. Ready to cast game 4, of course, on Splitstone Quarry. Na'Vi versus SSG once again. We're in game 4. I really, really like the look of Na'Vi's comp, at least a lot better than SSG's, in my personal opinion.
I think SSG has a great quarry control comp. I think that's the biggest thing. Willow, Vivian, they're going to be able to shred point if that's where they choose to go. It is going to come down a lot to what Ninu can get away with through the tank line of SSG, because if the Willow and the Vivian on that team, if they can free fire, it could be possible even with a comp that might not be better on paper.
Yeah, I mean, pretty standard talents all around so far. Of course, you got Spirits Chosen, you have Storm of Bullets, Wormhole, Big Game, Mother's Grace, Tinker, and Opportunity and Chaos, Luminary, Battering Ram, and finally, Blastfire on Willow.
Yeah, definitely standards across the board. I mean, the only one that we could see maybe switching would be Sadak running Slugshot, but I doubt he's going to swap off a Battering Ram. It is very, very powerful. At being able to stay aggressive, stay alive, Stock's going to actually be playing on the right side with Ares, helping him kind of own this quarry side. I thought maybe he would be on Eevee slowdown duty, but looks like they're honestly just going to leave FRC to do that on his own. Yeah,
Opportunity and Chaos definitely doing its work. He has lighted them all up right near Fidget Spinner Room. However, Mutu, with the presence of mind to be able to know when to actually finish off Ares. Of course, Sadak got a little bit too rambunctious, left not Mutu, but Ares a little bit open and allowed Mutu to actually get the kill on him.
Yeah, I mean, Sadak, I think, was doing the right play. I think Ares was too. Just good positioning by Mutu going far back. And he did find a way to deal with Ninu here. Great juke, actually, by Mitsao jumping over that shot. Now, though, only too low on SSG, so they can kind of come back in on this. Great shots by FRC, get Mutu really low, but tagged back up by Spunky just in time, but Sadak gets the first kill into Fake. Great point grip, but Mito's still going to go down.
Ninu's all the way in the back line. And get rid of the support, but you already lost 2 of your teammates. You got rid of Khan, you got rid of Eevee. Now all we have left is really the Inara, the Cassie, the Maldamba. Maldamba's looking pretty low, but the out-of-combat healing's going to keep him just the right amount of health, which just so happens to be full, for him to be able to continue to throw out a lot of these heals and keep himself juiced up. But we already got a Fae Flight already happening at Inara. This is why she has a problem. Dead zone right on the point. Wall goes up. She's eating a lot of damage from this Willow, just free firing at this point, but an assert dominance to make sure they can cover the rest of the backline on Natus Vincere.
Wall blocks the dead zone, actually, so Inara is able to be pocketed through that shield, perfectly stopping the assert dominance. So basically everything SSG tried to do was just completely countered. Captime coming in on the back of the Dread Serpent, but everyone's just falling on SSG.
Yeah, 99% overtime is ticking down. However, the point's already going to be captured. They already got rid of what they needed to on SSG's side. 84% was all SSG were able to make it. But, of course, that still was a good fight. They still fought the best that they could. And in this case, Maldamba, Spunky, astronomical healing already, just pocketing that Anar.
Yeah, more than double the healing of the Genos. Not too surprising, though. I mean, Genos
Right,
really
of
isn't a champion you pick for his healing numbers. Champion you pick for the damage numbers for everybody else in your squad. FRZ jumping up to try to do a little bit of damage to the back line. Navi trying to be aggressive. Lazy getting a little bit low, but Ninu, maybe a little overzealous, gets picked out by Mitao, the Star Splitter, and now SSG might be able to strike. Health bars, I don't know if they're looking ready for.
Yeah, already. Sadak is able to find the first kill in that little exchange right there. Spunky goes down next. 2 members of Natus Vincere down. Phoenix forcing, at least being forced, I should say, to back up, back in the fidget spinner room, but they're already all over him. You can only block so much. Kinetic bursts his way forward, so Sadak can get the kill.
Yeah, they're retaking position here after that first pick. I don't think they know that. Okay, they do know the Lazy's up here actually with that bra. Never mind. It took me a second to just realize who's we were on.
Okay,
and Lazy actually does make it away. Speed Spirits from the Damba, the ability to pocket one target allows Lazy to live, and that's a Faith Flight spin on what is effectively nothing right now. He's moving the objective, but everybody on SSG is sitting on this ramp and going to make it very tough for them to go through all that damage.
Dead Zone directly onto the point to be able to not allow them to really just step where they need to, especially the Anar. Lazy's in a bad spot. Boy Grip to follow up. They got it right as Mother's Grace was already on cooldown. In this case, Nino blinks right back down. Ceilings are thrown out. You're covering too many options, too many spaces for Nino to end up going. Phoenix just laying into Willow, but a good shot from the Tinker and Barrack is going to leave Phoenix in the dirt.
Going to be so tough for Navi to break through this choke point. Willow, very powerful defensive champion, also able to be even more survivable. Just building Blast Shield to start because there's really nothing necessary on rest in the build. They don't need Cauterize, don't really need Wrecker, at least not into a Nara Khan. So a lot of freedom in the build for FRZ. Chooses to go survivability against the Eevee and plays into how the game started too. FRZ kind of left alone to deal with Ninu. Starting by building Blast Shield is going to make it just that much easier.
Yeah, already. Firing directly into that small little room right there. Natus Vincere giving up a little bit too much, especially right there. Uses the flutter to get out, of course. I'm actually genuinely curious. Can we see the Willow's cards real quick?
25% flutter DR.
Yeah, I was about to say it. Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's
why
I was.
Shock.
Right, yeah, no, right, yeah. I just wanted to make sure, of course, that flutter DR is going to play a huge role, of course, into FRZ with his rotations. They got the Faith Flight, they've got the Scout. They've got there are a lot of ultimates that are actually up. SSG has all of them already up. Dread Serpent ends up flying through, so Mutu can be able to get that kill on the Ares. For them to be able to use that, that means they definitely want to be able to cap this point. They get 3 kills simultaneously. Ninu, are you looking in the back? He's going to blink in and try to get Mitao, and he does find it. A team wipe for Natus Vincere.
Yeah, that was a great ace by them, and ultimates used on SSG too, Dome Shield and Faith Flight, and not looking to get anything. I don't even think they have a chance to touch. FRZ getting pressured so hard and spawned by Phoenix, but I mean, Ares is the best possible person to be matched up against this Khan. Rochelle, though, can't survive. 4 people spamming him at once. Goes down, and Navi take it to a quick 2-0 lead.
Yeah, I mean, they're already looking extremely good. Navi, at first, when I saw the Dread Serpent, I was like, okay, well, they want to be able to push this, and I don't know if they're going to be able to get it, but it was almost like on cue. Dread Serpent came out, literally 3 people. I believe it was the Khan, it was Phoenix, it was Spunky, and I believe it was Nino that all got 3 kills instantly as soon as that Dread Serpent flew out.
Yeah, it was great at being able to just to collapse on that and make it work. I was originally worried about it, about what it was going to find.
Yeah,
but
right.
The mobility from the Eevee kind of opened a lot of things up. It's why teams want it. Though heading into the next fight, with Faith Flight and Dome Shield down, the sustain's not going to be there quite as much, but SSG have an opportunity. Hopefully they can talk about their ultimates and say, hey, we have Genos ult, we have Ashe ult. We can combine them. We can use this assert dominance through time and space onto one target and get some free kills potentially there to get some cleanup, but not going to be there quite yet. No, they have a lot more time to talk about it with the pause. Hopefully they do see that, because it's a great opportunity. It's basically the only combo they have. Sentinel's the other thing, but can't really combo that.
Well, yeah. I mean, at the same time, though, game was already paused, but of course they were looking to be at least around that fidget spinner room. Of course, that's where they're going to be able to try and control some things. We saw a few of the items, managed to get a glance at a couple of them, of course. I mean, we have the Cauterize 2s coming online. We still have, I believe, I don't know if I really saw a Wrecker. They just ended up pretty much buying the items, and they're trying to really climb their way up from where they are.
SSG having that long defense helped a lot. Normally Navi would have the credit advantage from that point capture initially, but since they were trading a lot of kills, not really trading too much back, it definitely got a little bit closer. Normally at a 2-0 we'd be talking about the economy difference, but it's not huge.
Right, yeah, no, it's not. I mean, they only had 3 ults up online on SSG's side. I believe they had the through time and space. I don't remember what else it was they actually had.
Sentinels and Assert
Yeah,
Dominance.
okay. Then it was those 3. I knew they had the through time and space for Genos. But Sentinels and Assert Dominance, Sentinels, you're going to be able to have that if Ares used it towards the end of the round, and he already ended up dying. Then, of course, he's going to be able to build that back up regardless. Already still has that available to him. Assert Dominance can be pretty huge, though, if they're in Fidget Spinner Room, which is where they were in the first place.
Yeah. It is going to rely a lot on how quickly that Assert Dominance finds something because, I mean, Overpower on the other side.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, being able to potentially be used to stop that. They have to kind of get that immediate pick off of the through time and space with that because it has to be worth it.
Yeah.
You can't use Assert Dominance, get a combo, but then lose your Ashe. Most of the time, that's a negative trade. You want to at least get a little bit of value out of the invincibility. If you can immediately find a pick, and then with the people down, you can kind of chase in, maybe kill the Khan while he's going for that overpower. You have options.
Right, yeah. I mean, there are plenty of options to be able to be used, especially when you have Khan. That's why a lot of people end up locking him in first, and also liking him is what I was going to say. But, I mean, that is true. People like him. People lock him in all the time.
People like him in their comps.
True, exactly. People end up locking him in a lot of the time. They have that overpower, which is what exactly it was you were saying. It can counter out that Ashe if he's careful enough about how he uses it, especially in Fidget Spinner Room, which is why he wants to stay over there, fire down that direct line of sight it is that he has next to Fidget Spinners in this case. And, I mean, really, Navi's already up 2-0. What would you do on SSG's side to be able to try and adapt to that situation?
I think what they were doing in the first round was fine. Ares just has to be a little bit more careful about this angle that Mutu's taking right now. Looks like Stock's slowing things down, though, a bit. That's kind of the adaptation, but in slowing it down, they give up a lot of time. Combo used, but they didn't need to. Sadak already got the kill, and it just opens up mid tower to get flanked by Ninu.
Yeah, Sadak ends up getting the kill on the Mutu, but Ninu, Lazy, the two of them together already got 2 kills in response to that kill onto the little first blood they had right there. During this round, of course, 45% to 50% on SSG's side. They have the Dome Shield steadily building up. 71% for the Fae Fly. Overpower is still available, and Dread Serpent's coming up too. They do manage to get on FRZ God. They won't be able to deal with that Willow right into the Fidget Spinners. And now Phoenix and the rest of them are going to be able to hold this room a lot more comfortably.
Ares also been in a perfect position to find that kill onto Faye, but Sadak goes down to Mutu. Tank control basically completely gone. Great disengage makes it so Ares can't get out of the way, and Mutu cleans up on him too.
93% already for Natus Vincere. Looks like they're going to be able to cap this one. Ninu blinks in, blinks right back out. Gets those blast shots off, which is going to be really good. Using that emote to watch around the corner, of course, he's going to be able to blink up, blink right back to where they were before. At the same time, he's really just trying to position himself in a way that makes the most sense. He blinks up to be able to drop that Ice Storm. They can't really jump down at this point. The rest of the team can follow up on how they want to. Use that Fae Fly to actually cleanse it, move straight up into the air, and now they're able to fire right back down.
Yeah, and a little duel here on the side, trying to keep the Willow and the Eevee kind of trading back and forth. Taunt, so good for 3-peeking here. You can get so much information without really being able to be punished. They have Willow, but Willow's kind of a more consistent over time melting champion as opposed to, a bomb kick, put 2 stickies under you while you're taunting and there's no other way out. You need to get really aggressive here in the low ground, though. Again, this choke point, it's going to be tough to break. Now they already managed to do it once, but items are a little bit more online. These tanks aren't going to be able to get away with as much as they were able to in the earlier round.
Of course, they have the scout ready and available. Dead Zone gets dropped directly onto Lazy. Wall goes up, of course, to be able to keep himself at least at a decent amount of health so he can come back to point when he needs to. FRZ really just looking for any type of opening, firing to make sure that he can, of course, soften everybody up so that way they can't push in, making him reconsider. Battle shout, and immediately followed by a shoulder bash. My goodness, that sounded vicious immediately as soon as Khan got hit in the middle of that battle shout. Although FRZ, the rest of them, my goodness, Natus Vincere, they follow up with each other so incredibly. Mutu with the triple to follow that up and finish that fight off. I don't know what else to say except for well done, Natus Vincere.
That is a textbook example of how Na'Vi like to play.
Yeah.
They think they have SSG thinks they have an option. They walk in to the lower of the house. They're like, all right, Phoenix barely survived. All right, everyone retreat. Suddenly, 4 people are in that room completely surrounding them. They take the advantage they can get. They wait for you to make a mistake, and they always make it work afterwards. Combo attempted, does not hit. Ninu finds Ares in the chaos.
Yeah, they already hit the overpower. Ares goes down as well. Dread Serpent to be able to stop that shoulder bash, which forces Sadak to have to use that assert dominance, but he gets picked off. They end up countering him. At this point, FRZ's dropping down low to the ground to try and contest that point, but it's not going to be enough. Natus Vincere with their 3rd victory.
And that's just, their play works out so well as that game was going on. Faeflight's not really finding what they need to, but it's hard with how much sustain I think Na'Vi had and were able to play around there. And Arakan, very brutal tank line to give up into them. It really is, honestly, their B&B. It's their bread and butter. They managed to work it out on Splitstone Quarry, an SSG pick, and they're going to have to find something else on whatever map we go to next.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the times it is I've seen Willow let through where it doesn't end up being Inar's demise in this case. It's really good that Natus Vincere were able to win that. Of course, 3-1 already. SSG have a long climb to be able to make it back, but we'll see what they can do right after this break.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back to the PPL. My name is Dolson, and Game 4 comes to a close. Natus Vincere on Splitstone Quarry move themselves one game away from closing out this set. We mentioned, Gormizer, that Splitstone Quarry could be, where SSG go to try to turn this set around.
Yeah.
They do go there, but they did not turn this set around.
They did try to turn it around. They just didn't successfully turn it around. It's 4-0, actually, I think is the most surprising part of this. Yeah. The fact that it was so overwhelmingly in control by Na'Vi is kind of mind-blowing. Maybe they hit that point where they were like, all right, we caused a little bit of a disturbance. We caused the break. We're not taking any more breaks if we have to.
It was the computer.
If we can avoid it as much as they can. And even though you have maybe some good numbers coming down from a few of those players, you do end up with, Mutu specifically kind of controlling and commandeering, I would say, more of the game.
Yeah, at 62,000 damage for the Cassie, 10 streak as well. Spunky doing a pretty good job finding himself some damage as well. A 15 streak, and he ends the game 1-1 and 17, Spunky does, and on a 15 streak. So he died early on in that 4-0 and then went undying throughout the rest of the game. You look at slash lines, though, 10-2 and 8 for Mutu on that Cassie. Big difference maker in this game. The ability to hit the shots, the ability to deal with some of the frontliners that Spacestation Gaming had. Sometimes underrated, but Mutu doing what he needed to.
There was just consistency that came down from him. You called for the Cassie actually really early on in the draft. I believe right after the Mave, and well, hey, it hit and it rung true as far as they were concerned. A lot of damage onto Sadak wouldn't let him really get into the fights, I think, the way they wanted to. If Ninu didn't pick up Ares there, Mutu, I think, continues going, and that's a quadra kill, maybe a different story. Same result, though, and that is that they continue tearing through everyone. The crossbolts were on point, and his aim was following true with everything there. Now they're up 3-1, 2-1.
Yeah.
Kind of goes one of two ways, tie it up, or, well, now Na'Vi one game away.
We have seen the semi-reverse sweep from 3-1 earlier
just
in
yesterday,
this week.
In fact.
And Space Station is a team that nearly did a full reverse sweep. They were down 3-0, won 3 straight, and ended up falling. Let's see where Natus Vincere can maybe end it. You brought up Serpent Beach, and here it is.
This is one that SSG like. They actually used to choose this early on. It would be their map choice, but they've seemed to have maybe shifted away from that one. But unfortunately for them, or maybe fortunately for other teams, That means that it's available later in the other set. Yesterday, they did not beat Kanga on this map. They took him here, and this was one where it fell heavily in Kanga's favor. We've had other times where they come here and they decimate. It'll be a 4-0 for SSG.
Yep.
But based on yesterday, I think it's a little more shaky as to confirm, like, this is their map pick. It's definitely still in the realm of possibility, and maybe even more comfortable for Na'Vi to go to a map like Serpent Beach.
And another Mave ban as well. Interestingly enough, first sort of instance of that on Splitstone Quarry, and that through some differences in the draft phase. SSG are actually going to go with 2 damage dealing bans here. Mave first, Strix second. Makoa for Natus Vincere is the first ban. Now they get to choose, kind of dictate maybe where SSG have to go with this first pick. You leave Willow open, that's a conversation to be had. You ban out Atlas, then you have Ashe and Khan to look at as well.
Yeah.
And if you want to, you can grab 2 of the other, depending on what you ban out here. So SSG opting for 2 damage dealers. Na'Vi are going to ban out the standard Atlas Makoa, and it's actually going to be Eevee for SSG. I think that's a fine first pick if you consider the quality of Ninu on Na'Vi's side. There you go, right back to the Khan and the Cassie.
Now, Eevee is phenomenal on this map.
Yes.
Do not get me wrong with that.
That wasn't very nice.
Is she first pick worthy? That's where the debate kind of comes in. I am going to say no. I actually think SSG could have grabbed, say, Ashe first if they had wanted her, maybe Khan first if they wanted Khan, and then in this phase gone Barrick Eevee instead of Barrick and presumably a support that they're probably going to try to hold on to as they wait for Ares' pick later away.
Right.
Cassie, we just saw how good Mutu was on that, so not too surprising to see him pick that up. And then it opens up the question of Willow, no Mave. Flanking is going to be difficult. Drogos and Willow can stay up in the air, maybe kind of cause some trouble for that Eevee. But one of the things we were discussing early on today, Frog Isle with Kanga and Knights, the inability to get into the back line when the other team has more than enough capabilities to do so can change the pace of the game for you and honestly can ruin you in certain instances. So I want to know how Na'Vi are going to kind of deal with that lack of mobility being taken away. They do have other options. I mean, you could jump to another flank, but let's be honest, they're not going to jump to another flank.
Yeah, I don't foresee that either. Maldamba and Inara being hovered for Na'Vi.
You are not welcome here!
This was the Kinessa game for Ares yesterday, right? Was Serpent Beach?
Yes.
I mean, direct damage dealers
against Envy.
At least are now the conversation that you need to...
maybe against Kanga too.
At any rate, I'm thinking about Ares maybe on the... Because snipers have been a conversation piece on Serpent Beach. For some reason, Ares playing Kinessa on Serpent Beach is kind of jumping out at me. Do you go back to Vivian one more time? I mean, because obviously, again, this is a team that doesn't want to pivot into the Leon. Looks like it is.
Come on,
I do not
fight.
go to Vivian for sure.
My heart's beating, my hands are shaking, and I'm
And
still
I mean,
shooting.
this one to me screams confidence that they'll perform better than they did yesterday. I was the one. I felt kind of bad about it afterward, but at the end of the day, Ares
like you see it.
stood in one spot and he got a lot of damage, had pretty much no impact on the fight otherwise. It was just like good shots every now and then, but he was very predictable, and predictability is an advantage for Na'Vi. If he does that same kind of playstyle today, this game is done right now. If he can at least shift it up, move around the map a little bit more, find some good headshots, maybe some good flicks onto the Willow to stop her from having a good Fae flight, then SSG are still able to contend this. But right now, based on what I've seen in the last couple of days, and based on this draft, this is Freeze God carry us, please, or we go home.
If nothing else, Ares can do some damage on the Kinessa, looking to turn things around. Na'Vi, one more game to take the set.
Indeed, that's all they got left, Dave. They've got one more chance at life here. At least on SSG's side, they do. They have a couple more games to be able to do something, but Na'Vi, if they wake up, this is technically their last chance to be able to try and, okay, find our momentum, find our footing. But the Kinessa and the Willow, I'm a little bit confused as to why that is. I don't think I would have exactly went for that.
I think I would have preferred Victor, but I actually think Ares' last performance on Kinessa was pretty okay.
Yeah.
Against Chronix on Ascension Peak, I believe was the last time he played it in a set, and it was pretty good. He was playing slow around his team, able to get healed up a lot, not taking fights he didn't need to, and that's the look we're going to need this game if SSG want to take this 2-2-3 and still have a chance to take this set in general. Slugshot Ashe, going to be interesting, pressuring this side here. Just another option to counter the Willow. Ooh. Tries to jump up, barely dodges the headshot from Ares, and Navi backing up, but they still have point control. This is still a good look for them. Navi
sticking to their tried and true of just wait and won't collapse on anybody or punish anyone that's making too big of a mistake. 51%. And you're right, Kresnik. Percentage is steadily building. No one's really tried to contest. A good shot onto the Maldamba, though. Sadok's really trying to find an opening. Slowly but surely breaking that shield. Nothing too concrete, of course, with a good focus fire from Kinessa as well, as steady aim playing a big role as Khan is looking pretty chunked.
He also, I just want to make a note, because I said this earlier, he has switched off Slugshot. I'm assuming he's on battering ram now. I just noticed the flak shot, so he's not on Slugshot, so a way to deal with Kinessa is not in the cards. FRZ very aggressive behind them on the Eevee right now, just trying to force. They know Lazy's going to be forced into a certain position to avoid the Kinessa. Want FRZ to be able to punish it, but Mintu's there, right where he needs to be to stop that. FRZ getting it very far, but misses the final shot. Cleaned up by Sadok, though. That's exactly what they need. Going to trade Sadok. They're going to trade Sadok for it.
Yeah, I mean, Sadok and Ares at the same time, they were able to get at least 2 kills before one of them ends up dead. Lazy falls to the next one. And of course, Phoenix, Ninu, the rest of them fall too. Very, very slow, methodical gameplay coming up from SSG, sort of countering it out with their own sort of good old wait and bait style, at least from SSG's side.
I mean, that's kind of what you have to do against Navi. They play slow. You have to play slower, but you can't give up position. They're so good at finding the little bit that they can take without it being risky. It's huge. Mitau gets pulled. No heals up for them right now, but at this point, they still have to walk in and have a much worse situation. But Nino catches FRZ with his seedlings. That's so unfortunate for SSG. Both tanks still alive, but I don't know if they have a chance anymore.
Dread Serpent to follow through to make sure they capture that point. The heal is coming out from Spunky. Such a clutch overpower. It's moments like that that make it so apparent that Phoenix is such a good off-tank in that case. And we already see that FRZ goes in, gets the touch. Ares was actually able to get a kill onto Phoenix in that case. Spunky ends up getting a kill on the Phoenix. And in that case, Natus Vincere already with their first point on Serpent Beach.
Lazy also throwing off basically a firework seismic crash. Just they've already won the game. Might as well, the point, might as well celebrate. Still got a ways to go to win the game. Ares managed to get into his own high ground, though, even after losing the mid. Hasn't died yet, and is top damaging, so solid performance so far. Dome Shield gets forced out. Xiao, but it's going to earn some ground here, kind of force them back and keep the pressure off of Ares. And 3 picks go to SSG.
Good stuff from Ares as well. Being able to rotate, of course, watching Khan and watching Willow. It's such a good spot to be able to look at so many different targets at once. Of course, he's sieging up in this back line right here. Doesn't want to get too crazy with it. Can't. Also, because if he goes any more forward, he could definitely run the risk of getting picked off. But SSG, they're in a good spot right now. They're holding this bridge with Child's up here, of course, firing down at Lazy, lumbering his way to the point. You hear the tubas playing behind Inara. She slowly makes her way back. Minute 30 still on the clock. I mean, this could still be anybody's game, of course.
I would definitely consider this best case currently for SSG. Yeah. The fact that they're holding this far forward without even being in the super good defensive positions on Serpent Beach is great. Even with this death on FRZ, they're bleeding the clock. Lazy might even end up going down here too. Sadok does follow FRZ, but right now this is still looking all right for them.
Yeah, good burst damage coming out from Ninu onto Mitau right there, forcing him to back off. A battle shot to keep Ninu juiced up because Spunky couldn't heal him at the right moment because he was trying to make sure that Inara didn't end up going down. Of course, you got the 3 time and space. We got the assert dominance, Dome, Shield, Ice Storm. You got plenty of opportunities to be able to make sure that you're able to at least close this out or try and at least hold on this round. Ares, of course, being in high ground, shooting down below at both Inara and Khan, trying to spread out that damage as much as you possibly can. But of course, they're slowly making their way. They're gradually making their way to the objective.
And Inu goes up and actually manages to pick on Xiao. FRZ trades on this defense on Serpent Beach are so rough. Card's not going to be contested, though. With Xiao gone, Sadok really can't make that happen. Ashe not able to check the card as well as Barrick would be able to. Ares in a fantastic position, too, to stop this. Decent angle into orange as well, making things harder. Lazy, did he climb to the high ground? It looks like he did. He's actually up in Torch to be able to try to push away FRZ, but He's so far away, it's not really going to make a huge difference. Free flight used by Ninu to push back onto Ares, and Ares gets forced back into spawn.
Yeah, already. Now he's looking at Rachao. Looks like he's going to be the next one to end up getting caught. He has to use Dome Shield. Doesn't want to go down. Dreadserver to be able to counter that and also try to fear the Barrack out of his Dome Shield just for a little bit. At the same time, though, we're looking at 1-for-1 trade with a good through time and space from MGTOW to be able to pick off Ninu. Now, the rest of SSG are going to be able to put up a really good defense, a good couple shots onto a Void Grip. And Nara are going to leave this round at least to SSG so they can make it a 1-1.
Great hold by SSG, but they used 4 ultimates for that.
Yeah.
And on defense on Serpent Beach, that's not good. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll put it bluntly. That's just not good. You don't want to spend that much, especially considering how much that he still has in the tank. This is that overpowered double kill. I want to watch this single kill again. Those actually, the radius of those sea things are actually pretty big. I'm surprised that those still managed to connect, but Fayflight in the end also managed to help turn things around. That fear onto Rachao. Dread Serpent's still going to be valuable, along with Seismic Crash this early in the game. Resilience is not quite yet online, so Na'Vi definitely want to convert this as quickly as possible before Resilience has become a problem on SSG's side.
I actually didn't bring it up when I was doing the play-by-play, but that stun from Spunky on Sadak when they needed that retake, get that first point, was so good. Like, Phoenix and Spunky single-handedly, in my opinion, carried that last fight as the round was ending. Well, not as round ending, as they were just about to capture that first point fight. It was so good, so well played by them. Of course, another overpower to come through actually gets Ares all the way in the back line, man. I'm already saying Phoenix's praises, but he doesn't want to stop with these plays. Seismic Crash, where you going? Ninu wants to be able to follow up, of course, to go for Rachao, go for the rest of them. They're all grouped up. This is such a good spot for Ninu.
If they weren't ready for it, it would have been even better. He does manage to get Rachao, though, as far as he gets the trade. Now he's going to hold up there. And Eevee being up there is basically saying, we have point touch. There is nothing you can do about it. The only chance now would be if Spunky can somehow get 30% ult charge in the next, I don't know, 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Doubt that's going to happen, so SSG will be able to at least contest the objective. But Fayflight coming up really soon for Na'Vi, but Spunky gets forced away by Sadok's aggression and goes down.
They serve dominance all the way into the back line, and a good several air shots onto Ninu, is able to get the kill. Ares gets a double in that case. Mutu throws onto the point? I mean, he's able to get a little, a little bit of a touch.
It's better. If he can't get away, it's better to die on the
Right.
He made the right call for sure. Really aggressive by FRZ in the backline. Actually forces Spunky back, and he chases him down too. That's disastrous for their attempts to retouch here.
Of course, they're going to end up using Fayflight. Ninu wants to be able to go around all the way on the outside. Of course, he's watching Sadak, making sure that he doesn't peek out a little bit too much. Aims the dead zone at the Ashe in this case. Fayflight's right, not Fayflight's, but uses Flutter right in there to be able to get the kill on the Ares. Dread Serpent to follow up once again. They're able to get a kill on the Freeze as well. Now they're going to be able to focus their fire directly onto this barrack. Sadak, though, trying to move in to help out his teammate. MGTOW goes down. The rest of them are falling as this fight is continually going on. Ninu with a good dead zone right on the point. Spunky's able to clean it up.
Na'Vi basically just retook that with no healer. I mean, Spunky's there now, yes, but he wasn't there when that started, and they still managed to touch and live long enough, even trading Faye early in the fight too. That was crazy by them that they were able to make that work. Just great use of the Faye flight to draw a lot of attention, and Lazy perfectly chaining his cooldowns again. Lazy on these point tanks, super tough to deal with, even without a healer backing him up at the start. Buys a ton of time.
Right, yeah, I mean, he's able to play it so well. He knows what it is that he can do, even when you saw him in that barracks face. Like, he was really low, but he did not back down in the very beginning. Really in the first round, when they had captured the point, they had pushed up, they end up dying, push all the way back, they came back. Lazy was looking really low, but he just earth and guard, he stood there. He had enough trust in his team and enough trust to be able to know, I got this. I'm not really afraid of this barrack too much. I'm going to be able to make sure I stand my ground. And they were able to win that little exchange because of that.
The Inara into the Kinessa matchup too was working out for him. He started with the wall, used the damage reduction a little bit later in the wall, but a lot of time into that Kinessa. It really, just being able to cut off that one sightline is really a lot more important than some people give it credit.
Right, exactly. I mean, in this case, of course, Ninu being able to throw out these shots, Blast Flower being able to stack this damage repeatedly. Blinks in, is able to get a couple hits. FRZ is at least onto their tanks and frontliners on the point, but he has to back off immediately. The rest of his team is falling down. He has to be able to support them at least somewhat in this high ground or back.
I also want to remind everybody about something relating to, actually, never mind. Seismic Crash knocked in.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Aerial Seismic Crash by Lazy, but he gets caught out by the through time and space from MGTOW. Great positioning there right now. Play on the outside. It looks like it was FRZ versus Ninu there on the edge, but Ninu got the better end of it. Now the healer's getting overpowered by Phoenix.
I cannot believe how clutch he is with hitting these shots. And almost immediately, the overpower happens. Spunky uses Dread Serpent every single time and forces anyone from being able to stop them for those kills, and it has worked out astronomically. Na'Vi no longer playing the sort of patient gameplay, the sort of wait and bait. They're being as aggressive as they want to be able to be right now. 1:05 still, and the point's almost pushed in.
And being able to change the pace of your gameplay like that is really important. If you always do the
100%.
same thing, they're going to get used to you. They're going to be adapting to what you do. If you're changing before they adapt, you'll always be the team striking first. Also, I want to, you talked about using the Dread Serpent to peel for the overpower, and that's right. I mean, they use it to stop anyone from touching, but just the idea of like, yeah, man, we just couldn't get through that overpowered Dread Serpent combo.
Yeah.
It's just a weird thing to think about, but no, you're absolutely right about how much that's fine for them. Nobody can stop these kills coming in because of the combination of these ults.
Small brain Fawn, able to at least make one sort of big brain call, get one brain cell added to my brain in this case.
I'm just imagining being on a team and being like, what do we have? What do we have to combo?
Oh, yeah.
Overpowered Dread
Dread
Serpent?
Serpent?
Well, we'll make
okay.
it work, I guess.
All right, my guy. Whatever you say, says my rank team in this case. 132,000 healing, 347. Of course, Spunky, astronomical numbers in this case. I mean, 2 in Chronos, 2 in Blast Haven, 2 in, just 2 in Blast Shield, 2 in Haven, 2 in Chronos. And we already see that Ninu starting off the fight immediately with the Fate Line. They want to be able to close this one out. 42% already on the point for him, but a good shot right before he dies is enough to be able to get rid of Spunky. We already see Ninu diving in the back line, wants to be able to get Ares. Now he's looking at mid-tile, throws the Seedling down. They're literally peeling back to try and get Ninu off of their back line, but the man is looking for blood.
25% DR kept him alive. 62 HP. If he didn't have that damage reduction in his build, he'd be dead. This would be a much different fight. Rashao gets his dome shield forced in his own choke. That's worst case. FRC gets the touch, but a great commander's grab by Phoenix doesn't let him get away.
I don't even know if they're going to be able to try and touch at this point. They got the overpower, but they got the overtime because of the fact that FRZ really just went in. Spunky really just trying to peel back. The rest of his team, of course, able to come right back to where the point is. Looking straight at Sadak. And now they're going to be able to focus fire him. Commander's grab. FRC moves right back in. The Ice Storm goes directly onto the point. But they're really just taking their time. They're stepping off of it just a little bit. FRC blinks right back in. They're trying to get these picks. But because of the cooldown of Blink, they're not able to do what they need to.
Yeah, and FRC did an amazing job delaying that overtime as long as possible. But in the end, at the end of the day, the composition from Na'Vi played to a T. Perfect by them. Phoenix connecting every overpower. Even the long distance, small angle ones by him. Great play by Na'Vi. Unfortunate for SSG going down to them yet again, but I think this was a good showing by them all throughout this week.
Yeah. I'm already saying SSG's praises so much because of not only how well they're able to adapt, but just their capability in itself. Of course, they aren't placed in top 4 for no reason, right? Of course, they are a really, really good team, but at the same time, you know, when you go up against people like Na'Vi, this newly incorporated Na'Vi, it's going to be really hard to be able to try and adapt that, especially when you got somebody like Ninu, you've got Mutu, you've got these guys being able to communicate so well together. It's not easy to be able to try and win that.
How well Mutu and Ninu have been playing, I think is a very scary look for Na'Vi moving forward. SSG performing as well as they did against them is a good look for them, but this Na'Vi, I can't wait to see them play against VP again. I know it might be a while before we see them again, the traveling, delaying some of the games, but both those teams looking like absolute juggernauts, and I think Na'Vi might actually be better than them right now.
Yeah, I mean, the anime training art for Natus Vincere in this case, everyone this week has at least a little bit of a break of a reign of terror from VP, and we're going to throw it right back to the desk to try and get us in.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great job on the call to round out this week. And Na'Vi, it's not 16-0 in their last 4 games. It's 16-1. Not that that's any less attractive because Na'Vi are playing great Paladins right now, Gore.
And just being able to come through, I mean, well, history has it. It was a 4-1, a 4-3. Now they're back to the 4-1. So I guess next time they play, it has to be a 4-3. But they just seem dialed in. They know what's up. And this is a team that yesterday said that there's nothing but improvements for them. And I have a strong feeling that's going to be exactly how we see it. And that is just a frightening thought. Like Kresnik was saying, imagine them going up against Virtus Pro right now, who seem to be the hottest team, well, currently. We'll see how long that lasts. Na'Vi are doing something different.
Yeah, healing numbers as well. That's where my eyes went. First of all, 5 digits for Mittal, mid 6, pushing 150,000 for Spunky. damage numbers, actually top damage. This is another case of them going to Serpent Beach, Ares getting the Kinessa, doing top damage in the game, but not grabbing the win. The standout, honestly, I mean, Lazy at 0-7, he does have 13 assists, but Ninu at 17, 7, and 11 was pretty massive.
And more kills than anybody else on his team combined, as production points out for us, where it's just, 16 from everyone else. If Lazy had been able to pick up 1 or 2, it could have maybe shifted it in favor. But Ninu being able to do a ton. And this was actually one of those instances, so yesterday I feel like we got to see a broad spectrum of Ares on Kinessa. This one was just very middle of the pack. It wasn't effective, and I'm not seeing, I know they say it was working in their scrims, they've been practicing with it, but I'm not feeling it as much. So far on Serpent Beach, it hasn't been clicking the way that, this Willow did, and I don't know if it was worthwhile maybe hinging your counter to Willow on that kind of performance, because it came through and it just annihilated people. Freeze would go for some flanks, and Ninu would just read it like a book and blow him up before he could do anything.
And Gore, I'm still hung up on kind of what Phoenix had mentioned yesterday, that this still isn't the full strength of Na'Vi. None of it's necessarily play style, the skill level of Ninu coming in. All of it is up to par with everything they would expect. It's just kind of the chemistry, following up on plays. And they haven't played perfect. There's always something to improve on, but nearly perfect with 4 games. 3 of them are 4-0s. Their last 4 games, 3 of them are 4-0s. 1 of them's a 4-1. That's as close to perfect as you can get. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess there's room for improvement. This one's a 4-0 instead of a 4-1. They get the win at any rate, and that means they're standing by for an interview. Take a listen.
All right, guys. Welcome. Good job today. 4-1 over SSG. I just want to be able to open up with this question, of course. It's the Moji. At this point, Jaguar falls every single time you guys pick Moji without any hesitation whatsoever. This is a mainstay of your team, specifically on Jag, or what's been working that's caused you guys to constantly go back to this?
Moji is just a Mutu pick. He just lost it, and honestly, that's one of the reasons. We don't even think we're that great on Jaguar. We just pick it because it gets Mutu happy early in the set by picking Moji, and it's a mental game.
It's also looking at his stream.
Oh yeah,
he only plays Moji.
Well, remind me not to get Mutu in any of my games. Going into today, were you guys worried about SSG after kind of the success they had yesterday against Envy and Kanga?
Yeah, always have to be worried about SSG. They're great players, and they show with their wins that they are kind of back into the groove in the second phase. They still have a lot of work to do, and they know that themselves. You saw it in close sets, which they probably would like to 4-0 as well. But I think you always have to be worried about them. So losing 1 map is kind of rough for us because we had a nice map streak going, but a 4-1, we'll take it.
Do you guys think that them going to 13 maps yesterday gave you a lot of information that you could have gleaned going into today?
For example, on Serpent, we kind of saw coming that he would pick Kinessa, and we just played around it completely. He was focusing a lot of point, but he didn't get really anywhere with it, and we just stalled it out.
You guys normally have a pretty methodical playstyle. You guys normally wait and then are at least able, or at least try to punish someone else for what it is that they're actually doing. But on Serpent Beach, you guys switched that up so quickly. It was a lot more aggressive. It seemed like you guys it seemed like you guys knew what it is that you wanted to do. What does it take to be able to switch playstyles like that on the fly?
It's mainly because they switched playstyles themselves. They started playing less on the sides, which opened up my side more, because the map that we lost, Bright Mars, they played a lot on my side of the map, and they're trying to shut me down and play out on map control. And they stopped doing that on Serpent Beach, so I just made the call, I'm just going to take their high ground for free, and then we have all the space that we need. I'll just keep an eye on where Kinessa is, keep information, and from there on, we will just snowball the game.
All right, guys, this is super awesome. Congratulations to your win once again, 4-1. We're going to throw it right back to the desk to close us out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wise words, as always, from Natus Vincere. Obviously happy on the back of a 8-1 week, 2 wins for them, cementing themselves as arguably the best team in the PPL right now. And it was a fun week of PPL action. Let's take a look back at what we were able to see. Spacestation Gaming, they have a knack for long sets, except for this one against Natus Vincere. 6 against Envy, 7 against Kanga. And Na'Vi have a knack for short sets, and that's what won the day here in our second set.
That's how they had to balance it out, right? It was like that. It had to take the average. It was 7, 4. You kind of have to go in the middle. Well, there's 3 maps difference. Okay, we'll just throw 1 on there. And call it even either way. So Na'Vi going to be able to find that 4-1. Knights and Kanga going not only the way of Kanga, but going 7 games, I think is very important. I mean, again, a 6-7 matchup, that going the distance and kind of resulting just very barely in favor of Kanga, I think is a huge deal right now.
And yeah, Kanga this way. I talk about long sets. Kanga had 2 7-game sets to work through this week. Here's your updated standings. Kanga with the win were able to cement themselves in that 6th place spot. They were competing with the Knights today to kind of counteract one another. Space Station Gaming's at 11, so kind of on the heels of Team Envy. You got to look for as they're making up games over the next few weeks. They're gonna maybe be able to make up some ground. Of course, Knights dropping down to 7th, kind of keeping themselves there. Always looking at the standings. We didn't have anyone except Natus Vincere in the top 4, or Envy as well, throughout play this week. I always have to ask, I assume it's the same answer as last time, any of those standings numbers not seem right to you?
Virtus Pro, but granted now it's been, 2 weeks since we've gotten to see them, so we'll have to see how they come when they come back. Na'Vi being in first and being as widely in first makes complete sense. Really, I think the injustice comes down to the Knights. I feel like they are higher than 7th, but granted, considering how I've seen them play against 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, it's just a very, very tough matchup for anybody. So it's going to be, I think, rough no matter what they end up going up against.
We had a little bit of a longer week this week, a little bit of a shorter week next week. A couple of these teams back in action. Envy, we get another game from them on Friday against NIP, but first on Thursday, Kanga against SSG. Do it again, Renegades up against NIP one more time. That'll be starting at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. And then I believe
1 p.m.
again on Friday for that NIP Envy set. What do you look out for in those 3 games?
Honestly, Kanga and SSG, just based on yesterday's Kanga and SSG being able to kind of come through. I think Envy and NIP could be very interesting because there's been weeks, and all the weeks that Envy have beaten NIP, it's been on a loss the day before.
Right.
They would lose Thursday, win Friday, and that Friday was always when they faced NIP. This time, nothing Thursday. What do they do on Friday? Do they come in? Do they win? Do they come in and lose? I think that's a good heat check, those 2 days for NIP, and then that Friday to maybe figure out where Envy stands. Because right now, they're still hovering in the top 4. SSG get a couple of wins. If Envy take a couple more losses, all of a sudden those are shifting around.
And you have to look at, the Renegades as well, trying to get some momentum behind them. Great chance to do so against NIP. They were able to beat Na'Vi at the beginning of the split. Looking to do the same. It was a great week of PPL. We had 5 games, some long, some short, but all fun all around. Make sure to tune in on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Paladins Console League. But that's it for us here today. On behalf of myself, Gormizer, everyone back in production, thanks for watching. We'll see you on Monday.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Premier League.
We're here live from Atlanta. The players are here. The stage is set. Let's get down for esports!
This is where we also talk about the new stuff that we've got coming out for you all.
HRX is literally my favorite time of year. It truly isn't close. This is what I live for.
If that's 2nd place, I can't wait to see what 1st place is.
It is HRX.
Hard to breathe, 'cause there's too much dust in the air, and we can't reverse the wheel. When I've searched around lately, the world seems to be the same. There's only room for the privileged and sacred, yeah. Ooh, and I want to praise them. Yeah. Will you stay with me? I'm lost here in America. Will you stay with me now? 'Cause I'm lost here. Stay with me. I'm lost here in America. still